pal.
Buddy, welcome in, y'all. The Rob Brown Show is on your radio. It's the Fan Upstate. Good morning, Upstate South Carolina. Hello, America. What up, world? Great to be with you one more time again. And it's more importantly, great not to be alone. Because it is great to be with the great one who makes his triumphant return from vacation. The trumpets blaring in the background, the banners unfurled, and I'm just realizing, Lonzo, that the logo on your tumbler is upside down. Are you aware of this?
Yeah, I did.
Welcome back from vacation. The logo's upside down.
No, I did. I set it down and it slid all the way across, and it fell on the other side, and I had to maneuver a large body over there to get it, and I thought I put it on right.
Nope. So the lid goes on both. Okay. So the middle piece. Lonzo, okay, got it now. It's got like a decorative wrap around.
I think this
is that customizable? You can change out.
Here's what I think they do. I think the people who make this sort of thing, they
make this sort of thing. I've never seen that sort of thing.
Well, it's at where did I get this? I think I got this at Man Cave.
Let me explain for the people not watching the stream. Lonzo has a barrel that he comes in here with every day with his water in or whatever he's drinking that day, Dr. Pepper, whatever.
It's water.
Okay, water. And it's like a barrel kind of Yeti tumbler kind of deal, but it's got like a decorative. It's a Chiefs one, but it's got like a ring around it with the Chiefs arrowhead on one side and the Chiefs in Chiefs font on the other. And when he set it down a minute ago, I looked over and the arrowhead logo was upside down, which confused me because the lid on the top, the drinking portion, is on the right side. So I was like, this is a real bad luck for Chiefs fans if they're making, but I've seen this thing a gazillion times, so it doesn't make sense.
Well, we're not in peril. I knocked it down. So I
didn't know that. So the middle part where the logo is snaps in half and comes off.
How I found out? Because I dropped it before.
That? Oh,
well,
okay.
Yeah, I dropped it before. So I heard a lot of things break apart when it went over there. I'm like, okay, I finally broke it. And that's all it was. So what I think they do, the company that makes these, they will make just a bunch of the same color. And look at this color. You probably could get by with putting a couple different teams.
That's what I'm saying. You could throw any red team if they make and that's actually really a good idea. Like if you had granted, you would have to be like Pittsburgh, if they made that in black, but you could put the Pirates, the Penguins, and the Steelers on it. That's a great idea. But I know there's only a couple of cities where that would apply. Either way, interesting. I just thought something was
49ers.
very wrong here.
You throw a 49ers.
Throw a 49er.
Yeah,
but
works.
if you switched it and had I'm a Chiefs fan, but then also a 49ers
No,
fan.
what I'm saying is what matches the color. So,
right.
yeah,
I agree. I'm just saying who the hell would do that?
I would never do. I'm the company when they're trying to sell a bunch of these. So,
all right, ladies and
anyway,
gentlemen.
I am glad to be back.
We are glad to have you.
All right. I'm here.
There it is. There it is. I appreciate the honesty.
The ocean is behind me, and I'm back here.
No more vacation for Alonzo.
Oh no, we got plenty of vacation.
Multiple months.
We got plenty of vacation. Yeah, we still do. We got time. So
we got time. We got time. We got 4 hours between here and 10 a.m. when the end of the show arrives. But worry not your pretty little heads, because we have got an entire weekend of stuff to get into. Yesterday was a day that when I woke up, I was skipping around my home. The birds were singing. The bees were buzzing. I was giving the wife extra pecks on the cheek because what a spectacular day. It was like a Disney movie day for sports. I'm going to wake up. I'm going to watch a Sunday championship round at the Travelers Championship, and then I'm going to watch an elimination game at the College World Series, and then I'm going to watch a race at one of my favorite racetracks on the circuit, Pocono, and it's on Prime, which has been phenomenal in the broadcasting world of NASCAR. We'll talk about that coming up later on in the show. And then it's NBA Finals, and as we all know and have all said, best two words in sports, Game 7. And pretty much 3 of those 4 events let me down. The Travelers Championship finale was fantastic because not only did Keegan Bradley start the day 3 strokes off the lead, but he made up that entire deficit in the last 5 holes of the golf tournament, including knocking down 2 ridiculous ass putts down the stretch. It was unbelievable. That was great. The College World Series, my favorite postseason in sport. I have made that clear. That's not a new take. It is my favorite postseason in all of sports. It was ruined. Now, the tournament was great. The regionals were electric. The super regionals were spectacular. The run-up in bracket play at Omaha, magnificent. Game 1 of the finals between LSU and Coastal Carolina was fabulous. A 1-0 LSU win in a pitcher's duel. I mean, a good one. And Rob Brown, being the big-time nerd that he is, I love a pitcher's duel. Give me a dueling set of almost no-hitters any day of the week, and I'm going to sit there with popcorn and a big old cold beer, and my day's going to be chef's kiss. And then we got to game numero dos, and I thought this thing was going 3. I was like, these are 2 really good teams. LSU's a little bit better on paper. Coastal Carolina probably a little bit better in terms of culture and chemistry. And maybe coaching, I could argue. I think this thing's going 3. So I sat down yesterday at 2:30 in the afternoon in the bro cave. Told the wife, I'm like, get your ass in here. Sit on the couch. You're in on this. Like, I know you don't watch a ton of college baseball, but she will watch any championship game with me. I'm like, get in here. I made us some popcorn. Let's go. 28 pitches into the game, Kevin Schnall gets ejected from the elimination game of the College World Series and the College Baseball National Championship. And there is no reason other than of a Charmin soft, ego-driven BA umpire. And BA in this case stands for back-to-back cuss words jammed into one. I don't know if I can get away with saying back-to-back cuss words jammed into one. So I'm just going to say BA. But just know, with a capital B and a capital A, the biggest B on the front end of that word and the biggest A on the front end of that word and also on the baseball diamond. You can't do that. You can't. I understand. And before any of you smart A's fire up the text line to go, well, Robbie, a violation of the letter of the law. You don't hear me say this very often, but I will when it comes into play. Letter of the law and spirit of the law have got to be separated. Letter of the law and spirit of the law both need a context to them. And the context of running the head coach of a national championship team in the national championship series in an elimination game because he had the audacity to challenge you on 3 missed calls when, by the way, everyone in America with 2 eyeballs and a working TV set, everyone in America with a working TV set and 2 eyeballs saw that he was right. Like, it wasn't close. Cat was in the first inning and was already on at least his 3rd terrible call. Obvious. We have a TV. It's right there. So they run Kevin Schnall in the first inning of the baseball game. Now, I don't know that having Kevin Schnall in the dugout would have saved Coastal Carolina because that's a damn good LSU baseball team. I don't know. What I do know is they weren't winning without him in the dugout. I'm not saying they would have for certain beat LSU and forced the decisive Game 3, but they damn sure weren't beating LSU and forcing a decisive Game 3 without him. That's the glue guy. Usually the glue guy is like a bench player or a role player. TJ McConnell. That's a glue guy. Alex Caruso, that's a glue guy. Because we got to talk about the NBA Finals later, too, obviously. Schnall is the glue guy for that team. He is the heart, the soul, the spirit of that team. A guy who's been there 2 damn decades, that team is completely gelled around, won 26 consecutive games in the run-up to the finals series. Not the finals, the last games of the season. And they run him. Sorry, not they. One guy runs him because he got in his feelings a little bit there. It was the most, and I mean this. In fact, I said this yesterday, sitting on the couch. I was like, I had switched into that angry voice you do where you don't even yell anymore. You know when you get past the point of anger and you're just in white hot rage to the point that you don't yell anymore? You talk like this. You know that rage spot?
Yeah, did you say this to anyone particular, or you just said it out loud?
I just said it out loud.
Okay,
That's a great question. I was talk to myself angry. You ever been talk to yourself angry?
Well, all the time. You've heard me do that.
Yeah.
I've heard you do that.
Yeah.
So.
It's the angry that makes Lonzo on the other side of the Fortress of Nerditude in our office go, come on, Reitzel. Like, talk to yourself. That's where I was. I was talk to myself angry. And I just said out loud, I'm like, this is the angriest I've been at sports. Like, not yelling, not enthusiastically. I said, this is the angriest I've been at sports in a long time. And the wife said from 7 feet, because for just a second of white hot rage, I forgot she was in the room. That's how mad I was. The most important person in my life, I forgot she was next to me. That's how mad I was. And so she goes, you get mad at sports a lot, though. And I went, oh, you're here. You are correct. And that kind of got me thinking. I was kind of thinking, when's the last time I was this angry about sports? And two things. Number one, I couldn't come up with another time. The only thing that came to my brain. No. Let me rephrase that. I couldn't come up. It's not that I couldn't come up with another time that I was angry at sports. That's like a biweekly occurrence. I couldn't come up with another time that I was that angry at sports, with one exception. It was not a pass interference.
There it is.
With one exception. There was another time not too long ago, which was 2 nights before that, when Yoshinobu Yamamoto was on the bump for the Dodgers and he had an immaculate inning. 9 pitches, 9 strikes, 3 outs. Immaculate inning. Never happens. Cat was sitting on an immaculate inning. 8 pitches, 8 strikes. He throws the 9th pitch. It is piped, bro. Center, middle mid. It is the cleanest strike you'll ever see, and the umpire calls it a ball. Cost Yamamoto an immaculate inning. I almost became one of those losers on YouTube that punches his TV. I was so mad. Not even my baseball team. In fact, not my baseball team. A baseball team I despise. And the loss of the immaculate inning, it made me so mad, I almost broke my own TV. And I hate the Dodgers.
Which screen would you have punched?
The big one.
Okay.
I was that mad.
Yeah, okay, all right.
The 65-inch almost got Roy Jones Jr.
I didn't know.
I was furious.
Maybe you wanted to replace one of the smaller ones, so you know.
I was furious. Immaculate inning, right there, robbed by an umpire who, I don't know. I got no excuse. It was a middle hater. It was 3 inches over the middle of the plate. It was right dead center of the zone. No strike call. Immaculate inning gone. My man's name erased from Major League Baseball history because that umpire is bad at his job. And then here we go a couple of days later. We're in Omaha, Nebraska. Behind the plate umpire is just not having a good day. Just not having a good day. And Kevin Schnall lets him know about it. You know what? I got the clip from Kevin Schnall's postgame press conference. It's about 2 minutes long of him walking through that experience. And usually I would never go with a 2-minute clip. But I'm going to go with this one because I think it's important. This dude and another umpire, because we haven't even gotten to the best part, which is he comes out of the Schnall comes out of the dugout, and the umpire yells a warning at him. Now, keep in mind, we're in the middle of a heated AB. There's 25,000 fans in Omaha, Nebraska. More than half of them are LSU fans. Now, if you know LSU fans, you know exactly what I mean. If you don't know LSU fans, let me clue you in from somebody that does. They're drunk as hell and they're loud as hell and they don't let up at all, period. Place is loud. He gets a warning. He comes out to argue. The guy goes, "You're arguing balls and strikes." Schnall goes, "That's because you've missed 3 of them." Guy shoos, I mean it. I can't exaggerate this. Shoos him back to the dugout. Gives him the old flick of the wrist. "Why don't you head on back to your little seat over there, buddy? Why don't you take over?" That's a derogatory use of the word buddy. "Why don't you head back to the dugout, buddy?"
I'm a little slow today. I mean,
sorry, we're going to get you out of the we're going to get you out of the vacation fog. Don't you worry. "Why don't you head back to the dugout, buddy?" Schnall's like, "You've been missing calls, pal. I'm fine to be out of here." Guy's like, "Head on back." Schnall, now in fairness, Schnall's not actively walking to the umpire. He is standing. He's outside of the dugout, letter of the law. He is outside of the dugout, but he's standing there. And he's like, "You missed 3 calls." And the guy runs him. So now, because he's been run, now he brings himself over to the umpires in his face. The first base umpire comes running over, standing practice. Head coach gets into the face of the home plate umpire, of the chief. You go over there and you be the buffer. You try to cool it off. De-escalation. He comes over. The first base umpire trips over the foot of the home plate umpire. Trips over his foot. Falls down, rolls backwards. This man's like 65 years old. He should not be hitting backwards somersaults. Falls over the foot, rolls backwards, gets up, and says, 2-game suspension for bumping an umpire. Kevin Schnall never touched him. Never touched him. He just tripped. He just fell over. He just screwed the pooch. And in a moment where 25,000 eyes were all on him, great job making it about you, umpires. That's what you do, isn't it? 25,000 sets of eyes. Who knows how many millions around America all dialed in on this umpire crew. He trips and he eats on the field. And he gets up and he goes, 2 games bumping the umpire. No, he didn't, though. But they ran him anyway. Now, did that come into play? No, because Coastal lost the game. A large reason why. Their head coach was in the dugout. Or, excuse me, their head coach was in the locker room. But had they figured out how to win that game, let's say they ran a miracle. Win one for the Gipper, baby. Win one for the Gipper. Had they done that, Kevin Schnall couldn't have come back and coached the next day. They ran him. They ran him and gave him a 2-gamer for arguing balls and strikes, which, soft. And then for bumping an umpire, which he didn't do. When I tell you, because I for the record, didn't really have a dog in this fight. The family of mine that was smart enough to go to college went to LSU. I grew up an LSU fan. I've acknowledged this to you before. On the flip side, would have been great for Rob Brown and the fan upstate if a team from South Carolina would have won the national championship. So I was like, I win either way. What a day to be Rob Brown. I win either way. Either my family gets to hit the celly on a natty, or I get to come onto the radio Monday morning and go, how about the Chanticleers, baby? How about the Fighting Beach Chickens, baby? It'd have been great for me either way. Not like that, man. Not like that. That's awful. You ran the dude,
all right,
and it was awful.
I just watched the video. Is there another angle? Because the angle is from the back, so you can't see the coach's hands.
Are you talking about the fall?
Yeah, you can't.
No,
you can't.
You've seen it.
You can't.
That's it.
You can't see his hand, so you don't know if there's a little
there are multiple
something in there.
There's absolutely nothing.
That's why I'm asking if there are multiple angles. I don't see any other angles.
There's absolutely nothing. I have seen that. I'm relatively sure at this point from every camera in the building and about half the cell phones.
Okay, because I've just seen the wrestling.
There's nothing.
I've seen the wrestling angle.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
there's
from
nothing.
behind, so it looks like someone. Yeah, I just.
It is the most Charmin soft, bull bleep
I don't
ejection
think that
I've
guy's
ever seen.
65, by the way. He looks younger than that.
I don't know how old he is. It doesn't matter. I was making fun of him, and I deserved to. He deserved it. It was embarrassing. It was embarrassing. It has been a long time since I have been that white hot ragey. It happens sometimes. I'll acknowledge it, but it's been a minute. It's been an absolute minute. All right, we got to take a break. We're going to keep talking about this because, yes, I am furious that what coulda, shoulda, woulda been an incredible day was ruined by a group of ass umpires. Back after this. Hey, Lonzo's back. I'm Rob Brown. This is the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. No, you saw what it was. And they ran him for that.
Again, I haven't seen another angle. I just saw the one angle. So, I mean, I don't know if there wasn't a little bit of because his hands are on the inside, and I didn't see another angle where you could see if his hands moved.
You'll see one more, and if it's the moment you're seeing, he basically is doing the how are you doing this? The hand pose? Like, what are we doing here? The umpire tripped and fell. He got his ego hurt, and he made it about him.
Hello, everyone. You can see that people are watching, just no one is commenting, but that's fine. I'm glad to be back. I'm not glad to get up at 4 a.m. again. That's yeah, that was not a fun thing. And it was really close for a while until OKC broke away. And I'm sure we're going to talk about it. How much of a difference would Tyrese Haliburton have made? I don't know. If you watched how bad some of these guys are at Fanatics at all the different things, like Cody's golf swing and how bad at basketball he is, but he also is wearing a suit with the wrong kind of shoes for all this stuff. And you could tell he's trying not to fall down. I'm watching him hockey right now, which is the best he's looked so far. See, I don't know. I just don't know if Haliburton was in there if it would have been any different.
I'm going to say the same thing I said about Schnall in the dugout. I don't know that they would have won with him. I know they can't win without him. Right? I don't know if having him.
They were there. I mean, they were hanging with them the entire time.
At the same time, you do have to say they beat him in game one in that building. So the answer is, could they have beat him? Absolutely. Could they have beat him without Tyrese? Absolutely not. As much as I love T.J. McConnell, he is the MVP of the team that didn't win. That is some dramatic background music.
Well done.
I love it so much. I'm so mad about what happened in the College World Series Finals. I can't even get excited about that killer commercial there with the incredibly dramatic, king entering the castle, trumpets in the background.
It's very old school NFL film sounding. Like, I mean, yeah, with a little bit of fanfare in there.
And of course, we deserve the fanfare because
makes you want to listen to what's coming up for sure.
Oh, those things in July were. Rob Brown and the Rob Brown Show will be live in Atlanta, Georgia for SEC Media Days. And then the Rob Brown Show and Wire to Wire with Cole and Diesel will be live in Charlotte, North Carolina for the ACC kickoff. Those things that are coming up here on the Fan Upstate and only on the Fan Upstate.
When is
that'd be in July.
I know, but when in July?
July 13th through 17th will be the SEC Media Days. I will be live at all 4 of those days from the College Football Hall of Fame. And then I believe the week after that, the 21st, 22nd, 23rd, is ACC Media Days in Charlotte, North Carolina.
So hey guys, you look over there. See over there? It's just coming over the horizon. Football,
baby.
It's right over there.
But I'm still mad at baseball. I'm sticking here for a minute. I can't walk away from this right now. Let me play you the audio from the post-game press conference of Kevin Schnall, head coach of the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers. Run in the first inning. 28 pitches into the game. Run from the game. The reason given by the NCAA and its officials, its umpires, was that he was dramatically arguing balls and strikes and departed the dugout despite being given a warning not to do so. Now, I have to, before I play this audio, I do have to acknowledge that Rob Brown is 96.327% of the time a letter of the law, stickler for the rules of the game kind of guy. Like 97, 96, somewhere in that range percent. But I also understand that sometimes rules are dumb and bad and should be not followed. Listen to me, kids out there. Listen to Uncle Rob. Listen to what your parents have to say. Unless what they say is stupid and bad, and then don't listen to your parents at all. That's what rules are for. They're for breaking. Little advice, little PSA for the cheering. So, Kevin Schnall came out of the dugout. He was indeed warned by the umpire, I believe twice, maybe thrice, to return to the dugout after arguing the balls and strikes. But see, if that would have been it, I might even, a stickler for the rules am I might have been like, it is what it is. But that's not why he got tossed. That is what they said is the reason he got tossed. But as somebody who was watching the game and isn't a moron, at least not when it comes to this, that's not why he got tossed. He got tossed because he called out the umpire for being bad at his job, which he was. I saw it. He was. He was doing a bad job. Here's what Kevin Schnall said in the post-game presser when he was asked about that scenario.
There's 25,000 people there, and I vaguely hear a warning issued. As the head coach, I was assistant for 24 years, and as an assistant, you're almost treated like a second-level citizen, and you can't say a word. Now, as a head coach, I think it is your right to get an explanation of why we got warned. And I'm 48 years old. I shouldn't get shooed by another grown man, right? So when I come out to ask what the warning is, a grown man shooed me. So at that point, I can now hear him say, it was a warning issued for arguing balls and strikes. And at that point, I said, because you missed 3. At that point, ejected. If that warrants an ejection, I'm the first one to stand here like a man and apologize. 2 words that define our program are own it. And what does that mean is you have to own everything that you do without blame, without defending yourself, without excuses. If you guys watched the video, there was a guy that came in extremely aggressively, tripped over can't post his foot, embarrassed in front of 25,000, immediately goes 2-game suspension and said, bumping the umpire. Immediately does that. There was no bump. He was embarrassed. I shouldn't be held accountable for a grown man's athleticism. They'll retract it, though, because now it's excessive. And the reason why it's excessive, because I was trying to say, I didn't bump him. It is what it is. But if that warranted an ejection, man, there'd be a lot of ejections. As an umpire, I feel like it's your job to manage the game, the national championship game, with some poise, some calmness, and a little bit of tolerance.
Yes, to all of it. Yes, to all of it. The entire situation orchestrated by behind plate umpire Angel Campos was It was embarrassing. And to have that moment happen in not just the College World Series finals, but in the elimination game, in a game that if Coastal loses, it's over, season over, sport over for 8 months. That's not good enough. It's just not. Now, nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to happen because of this. Everything's going to stay the same. That's just as infuriating because somebody, again, watching the game. And obviously, I'm not privy to exactly what was said out there on the field. I'm going to tell you this. For those of you who know what I'm talking about, I cannot wait for the John Boy breakdown. You know who John Boy is? Jomboy. You know who John Boy is? John Boy is a...
John Boy and Billy?
No, Jom with an M.
Oh, okay.
John Boy is a social media guy, and what he does is he goes and he takes videos of athletes or coaches or officials or whatever talking on the field, chirping back and forth, and he lip reads them, and then he tells you what they're saying. So he dives in to the point that Major League Baseball coaches and umpires have acknowledged that they are watching his stuff to find out what's been said and what's not. The head coach of the San Francisco Giants, 2 weeks ago, was asked about a couple of interactions that were happening between his team and another team and him and the umpires and his assistants and the umpires. And he called the guy by name. He's like, I can't wait for the John Boy breakdown to go viral. I can't wait for the John Boy breakdown of everything that got said here. Because, I have to assume the only way that I'm going to have my mind changed about this is if Kevin Schnall came on the field and described in great detail gratuitous acts of a sexual nature that he engaged with the umpire's mom. That's the only thing I can come up with that would have appropriately got him run from that game. Because what I saw was him saying, you missed 3 calls. Gone. He didn't get run because he came on the field. He didn't get run because he stayed on the field. He didn't get run because the umpire gave him the shoosh like a father to a small child. Shoosh. Bye-bye. He didn't run for that. He got run because he called the guy out for being bad at his job, and Angel Campos got his feelings hurt. Now, Clemson fans, you actually have a connection here. Do you remember in 2023 when you were hosting Tennessee in the regional and you were in an elimination game and you went to the, 13th inning against Tennessee, and Cam Canarella, real good baseball player, got into a chirping contest with one of the players from Tennessee, and they had kind of been at it for a while because Cam's a bit of a hothead. I say that with all due respect because I love watching the cat play baseball. Angel Campos, the guy who tossed Kevin Schnall from this game, was the guy who see how mad I am? The guy that tossed Cam Canarella from that game and ultimately cost you that regional. Same guy. That's the hothead. That's the Charmin, soft, baby boy that did the same thing in this one. That can't happen in that spot. No dog in the fight from me. Either my family's hitting the celly today with a new trophy in LSU second in 3 years, or I'm in here today talking about the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers and how Clemson and the South Carolina Gamecocks are looking up at the Beach Chickens. I'm great either way. And that's the story. Not how well LSU played, Not the season at Coastal Carolina, not how fantastic of a series we got, even if it was a 2-game sweep. It's the umpires, which is exactly what they wanted, and it's infuriating. You know what else didn't give us exactly what we wanted? Unfortunately, Game 7 of the NBA Finals, which we discuss next. Rob Lonzo and you, The Rob Brown Show, the Fan Upstate. Kane, the problem you bumped into, and we're going to talk about your comments coming up in the next segment of the show. The problem that the Pacers bumped into last night, sans Tyrese Haliburton, is that as much as I love TJ McConnell, as he is not the scoring threat that Tyrese Haliburton is, anytime McConnell goes to the paint, which is like every time he touches the ball, they just got to put one guy on him. They got to put anybody who's not SGA on McConnell, because he can take it into the paint, but like he's not a threat as long as your head's up. McConnell's threat was always getting the ball off the board or off of like a tip pass or an inbounds or whatever. And by the way, I love his jump shot that he puts the ball up over the head before he jumps, and then he goes up with the ball already up, so it's just a flip. Fantastic. But he's not a threat as an actual point guard. Tyrese is. And so when Haliburton has the ball and he drives to the paint, you have to move the defense over to account for him. You don't have to do that with McConnell. And if I don't have to do that with McConnell, I can cover up the three-point shooters, or at least the passing lanes to get to them. And that's all OKC did. I gave Indiana a lot of credit. I was texting with Joey B about this last night. Gave them a lot of credit once Tyrese went to the bench. They played on emotion, and that emotion kept them in that game. Well, they were leading at the half, weren't they? They were up 2 at the half. A lot of emotion to win one for the Gipper last night, but at some point, emotion goes away. If that would have happened in like the late third, early fourth period, I think Indiana could have won that game still, right? Because I think that emotion would have carried them to the final whistle. But without that shorter span, with that much time to have to play without your heart and soul or your best player, it's just not going to happen. I have to say, I was, on Sunday morning, I was very much in the, I don't care who wins, I just want a great Game 7 camp. But when I saw that the Thunder were decorating their NBA champions buses hours before the game.
Yeah, that was kind of messed up.
Immediately was like, let's go, sirs. I even said, let's go, sirs. That's how dedicated I was.
There you go.
Give me 30 seconds, guys. I'll be right back. I woke up yesterday morning, the birds were singing, the bees were buzzing, gave the wife a couple of extra kisses because I felt like a Disney princess in the successful end of movie scene. Everything's amazing, everything's fantastic, everything's great. What a day we're going to have. It is Sunday Fun Day, the best day of the week. We got the College World Series, the Travelers Championship, NASCAR's turning circles at Pocono, one of my favorite racetracks on the circuit, Judge Me, and of course, NBA Finals, no better words in all of sports than Game 7. The Travelers Championship upheld its end of the bargain. Would have run Keegan Bradley went on late. Unfortunately, Zoe's boy Tommy Fleetwood had an absolute meltdown down the stretch. We're going to talk about that later. NASCAR, good race. Good race. It basically came down to two cars down the stretch. It was Briscoe and Hamlin. And again, Hamlin's the GOAT at Pocono at that specific track, pardon me. So it was good. Wasn't great. Broadcast was spectacular on Amazon Prime for the final time of 2025. We'll come to that later, but it was fine. College World Series was an absolute letdown. Kevin Schnall bounced in the first inning. So I thought to myself, all right, it's not what I wanted. It's not what I hoped it would be. I was kind of hoping we were going to get a little bit better there. So let's go to the NBA Finals Game 7. I mean, by golly gee willikers, how could an NBA Finals Game 7 be a letdown, right? How could it pop? What were we, 4 or 5 minutes into the game? Tyrese Haliburton's Achilles pop. The first thing that I realized that was so frustrating, and I think this is something that scientists are going to have to study. We have had so many Achilles injuries now that we are all experts at diagnosing Achilles injuries because they showed before they really got into what happened. The very first replay they showed after Tyrese hit the floor and was very clearly in pain, slapping the ground and all that. The very first replay they showed was Tyrese fanning left, planting the right foot, pushing down on it, and you saw the pop. We all look for any time an athlete just goes down non-contact now, first thing we all do is look right at the calf to see if there's that pop that we saw with Aaron Rodgers, that kind of became this moment of medical education for all of us. They showed the replay in slow-mo. I saw the pop. I texted the little brother. I'm like, Achilles tear. He's done. Series done. Thunder win.
It was a no-win situation for him because he's injured, and if he doesn't play, then he's soft. If he doesn't play, he let his team down. If he doesn't play, why is he still in Indiana? That sort of thing. He technically had no choice to play. And of course you wanted to play. You want to play for your team.
It's Game 7. If that's a Tuesday night game in March, that man's taking a seat.
But when you have an injury like that, you're going to overcompensate in ways to try to alleviate the pain in one place, which causes a problem somewhere else.
Yep, compensation is a real thing. Overcompensation is a real thing. There is,
and he was nailing those threes at the beginning. What was he? 2 out of 3 or something like that, and looked like just throw him the ball and let him hit the 3.
Tyrese he was playing exactly what they needed to win this game. And again, before anybody goes, oh, the Thunder were just a better team, I don't disagree. Pacers have beat them 3 times. There were 3 wins for this team. Don't tell me they could, including one in OKC. If this was a series where home team won every game, maybe we feel differently. But in that moment, by the way, he was 3 of 4 from behind the arc at that point.
Okay.
For 9 points, played 7 minutes, 6 and some change before the Achilles snapped. And look, you want to know why? One of the reasons that the conversation about load management has happened in the National Basketball Association is because we are now as medically educated as we have ever been about the anatomy and physiology of basketball players, really of all athletes. And there is a reality that we as fans don't really get into because it's not our forte. It's not our expertise. Here's that reality. If you are injured in a way that impacts your mobility or agility, you are going to compensate for that. It's not like you have to think about it, you have to try. This is why there are so many athletes that Baseball players have Tommy John. They get that UCL popped and they restore. If you go look at those guys, what you will find is that many of them previously had another sort of injury to the throwing arm. Not all, not exclusively, but many of them have had a wrist injury or a shoulder injury or whatever before they got to the elbow. And because of that injury and the automatic and natural compensation that their body is going to do because of that injury, it causes it causes UCL injuries. They're putting more strain on the elbow to take it off of the shoulder. When you have a calf injury or a knee injury, it is going to change the way that you use both that leg and the other leg. Now, I'm not saying that is what happened to Tyrese Haliburton. What I am saying is the risk of injury for a guy who was playing injured, assuming that Tyrese Haliburton's injury was legitimate, and I assume that it was, it's not all that unsurprising. And it is disappointing that we lost a cat who was not only the best player for the Indiana Pacers in that game, he was the best player for the Indiana Pacers in this series. He was the best player for the Indiana Pacers in these NBA Finals, in the playoffs, in the regular season. He was, as I said after the game where he got hurt. Remember the game where he was very clearly injured and then he came back and they took TJ McConnell off the floor? I went on a rant on this show, on BetMGM tonight, on Bet for the Cycle on Saturday, every show that I was on for the next 3 days. I said the same thing. You should have kept Haliburton on the bench. You should have left TJ McConnell in, because while I don't know if you had enough to win with TJ McConnell, I know that you had a better chance with him than you did an injured, at that moment, Tyrese Haliburton. Last night, exact opposite. I love TJ McConnell. Lonzo and I have been handed TJ McConnell flowers for the entire playoff run. The dude's a little bulldog. He's a 5'10" white dude that don't fit in on the floor when you see him, but that man is involved in every loose ball. That man is attacking guys on the inbounds after baskets. That guy is attacking guys off of the trap. That dude is fighting for everything because, let's keep it a buck, he's a 5'10" white dude. He's not out there if he doesn't have that heart. You know what I said last night to I think, the little brother? If I could take TJ McConnell's heart and grit and put it into Kevin Durant, Durant would have had 17 championships. We wouldn't be having the conversation we're going to have later in the show about LeBron's comments about ring culture, because Kevin would have had all of them. He'd have won every title for the last 20 years if he had TJ McConnell's grit. That's the only way TJ McConnell survives in this league. Here's what I know. As much as we love the guy, as much as he's been a bulldog, as much as he's been an X factor, as much as he's been the variable in these NBA Finals, they can't beat the Oklahoma City Thunder without Tyrese Haliburton in that game last night. They just can't. The reason they would have been able to beat the Oklahoma City Thunder with TJ McConnell in the game where Tyrese got hurt was because it was deep in the game, because they were in that game. They trailed by 2 in the fourth quarter because of TJ McConnell. And they were kind of playing off the emotion of like, let's go do it for the dude. Last night, and I said this to Lonzo before we came on the air, if Tyrese Haliburton goes down like late third, early fourth quarter with the same injury, I think the Pacers can win that game. Because that emotion of playing for your superstar when you just watched him be carried off the floor because his Achilles popped, that emotion can carry you for a quarter and a half. It cannot carry you for 2.5, almost 3 full quarters. You can't do it. That emotion doesn't run that far. This is why one of the reasons that we talk about emotion in football, right? When a good team's going on the road to another good team that has a great home field advantage, I say all the time, if you're close at the half, you can win the game. Because emotion, energy, adrenaline, it can carry you for half a game, maybe 2 quarters, but it can't carry you for a full 60 or full 48. It can't do it. You still have to play good ball. And without Tyrese Haliburton being the heart and soul of that team, emotion carried the Pacers for exactly what I said it was going to last night. It carried them for 2.5 quarters, and then they were out of gas. And when they ran out of gas, the Thunder just went ahead and finished it, that's what you got to do to win the championship. Credit to them for stinking the dagger in when they had the chance. But without Haliburton, they're not going to get there. And I got to tell you, it was a little disappointing because what was a spectacular series, as soon as Tyrese went down, in just about every text conversation I was having, I was like, that's it, it's over. You can go to bed if you want. Wake up tomorrow morning. You'll already know who's the champs. Tune into the Rob Brown Show, and I'll give you the game breakdown. I watched that game. The exact words I said last night were, I'm watching this game out of professional obligation. That's exactly what I said last night, because when Tyrese went down, I think a lot of people got lulled in, right? Pacers up a deuce at the half. People are like, oh, maybe they can. No, they can't. That you can carry X amount of energy when you got the old win it for the Gipper mentality. Oh, we're doing this for our guy. We're doing it for our super. SGA's on that team, dog. The MVP's on that team. Now, there was one other moment that I kind of realized, like, you know what, I could do without this game. And y'all know where I stand on the conspiracy theory that the league is rigged, that the association turns in the results. And it isn't helped by the fact that a video made its way onto social media about 4 hours before the game where the Thunder had already wrapped their parade buses with the championship wrap. That went around, and of course, because it's the internet, people started popping it up saying, all right, we know the script, right? Thunder win. Thunder win. It's over. Tyrese Haliburton going down. You can't scrap. You can't script an Achilles injury. That's just unfortunate. But that was the narrative going around. However, that wasn't the moment that I went, oh, this is problematic. The moment I said this is problematic was around the third period when TJ McConnell, I don't know if you caught this, though. If you haven't, I'll send you the clip just to get your opinion on it. If you have, great. TJ McConnell brings the ball up. He gets across half court. Lou Dort, the best defender, air quoting, on the Thunder is on him. TJ McConnell is dribbling right-handed at half court. He starts going to the right. Dort reaches over, grabs him by the wrist. Now, when I say grab, I don't mean put his hand on. I mean full-out grab of the wrist. So McConnell's dribbling with the right hand. His left hand's fully extended. Dort is grabbed onto, fully grabbed, grasped, with the capital P on the end. Grasped on. McConnell looks at the ref.
You're going to hit me with that, so please stop.
McConnell's dribbling to the left, or to the right, towards the referee. Dort is holding on to him like the way a parent would hold on to a small child in a crowded shopping mall. You're not going anywhere, Junior. You're locked onto that wrist. He's got him on. McConnell's dribbling to the ref. He wants to do the hand, like the what are you doing, where's my call hand? But he can't because Dort's holding him by the left hand. And he's dribbling with the right. So he looks at the ref, and you can see him, like, shrug the shoulders, like, brah, wait, hey, can I get a call, dog? Like anything. No call. Ref just, and he's right there. He's me to you. He's 4 feet away, and the ref just looked in. The hand is grasped. I did it softer that time. Grasped. And the ref no calls it. And what happens? As he realizes, oh, I'm dribbling into the corner. I'm dribbling into a trap. He tries to get the left hand out of the grasp of Lou Dort, pulls the hand away, turns right, and gets the ball knocked away and stolen. They go back down the other way. I'm looking at this like, this is the reason the NBA will never beat the charges. Because Lou Dort is I thought an NFL ref was going to throw a yellow hanky on the field from a different arena. It was such a hold, and the ref, I don't see nothing. What are you doing, dude? That's why the NBA's never beaten the charges.
That's not the only time that sort of thing happened. It was happening throughout
it's not.
the game.
I agree.
No, it was happening throughout the game.
But that one was the definition of that one was the one that I kicked the feet up in the chair and I went, this is why I can't argue with conspiracy theorists. I want to defend the honor of the association, but with the Luka trade, with the Mavs winning the draft pick, with, oh, by the way, in the same year that Adam Silver said we're expanding the NBA and we want new markets, the Lakers sell for $10 billion, $2 billion more than their valuation. You know what that does? It raises the value of every NBA franchise and the cost that NBA can charge cities to get an expansion franchise. I can't argue with NBA conspiracy theorists anymore because everything they're doing looks like a conspiracy, including Lou Dort committing a full-on 15-yard holding on TJ McConnell. It's unfreaking believable. I'm trying NBA, but you're not helping me out. I'll help all of you out, though. Lonzo's back with a sports flash.
I know we've been talking about it, but I'm going to read it anyway. With a 103-91 win over Indiana, the Oklahoma City Thunder claimed the 2025-26 NBA World Championship. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander scored 29 in the win and claimed the finals MVP, becoming just the fourth ever player to win the scoring title, regular season MVP, and finals MVP in one season. Pretty good. The LSU Tigers won the College World Series Baseball Championship with a 5-3 victory, securing a 2-game sweep of the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers, who had won 26 consecutive games entering the finals. Coastal Carolina head coach Kevin Schnall was ejected in the first inning in a controversial decision for arguing balls and strikes and leaving the dugout. 15-time NBA All-Star Kevin Durant has been traded from Phoenix to Houston in return for Jalen Green, Dillon Brooks, number 10 pick in this year's draft, and 5 second-round picks. The 37-year-old averaged 26.6 points, 6 boards, and 4.2 assists last year. Yeah. Sorry, I'm adding. Didn't add on vacation. Didn't need to. Math can be difficult when you don't use it very often. And on vacation, I did not use it. So I went out and spent more money than I've spent on shoes in a while 2 weeks ago, and went to the beach for the first time in almost 3 decades. Went to the beach and I forgot my shoes. So all I had was the slides, and I knew we were going to go to Broadway at the beach, which is can be 2 to 3 hours walking around because there are a lot of shops and a lot of things to do and all that kind of stuff. So then I had to decide, do I buy new shoes after I just bought shoes the week before? And there's a rack room right there, and I started to do it, and I got there, it's like I can't do it. I already
What shoes did you buy?
I bought what someone calls sneakers, what I call tennis shoes.
But do you have beach shoes? You got to have beach shoes.
I was going to use my sandals, my slides, to go down to the beach.
Okay.
But those were the only shoes I had. And
I see what you're saying. You needed not beach shoes.
I need shoes to walk around.
Got it. Okay.
I'm going to wear something with some support and stuff if you're going to be out walking for a long time, walking shoes or whatever. And then I got to the rack room and I couldn't do it. So now I got strap cuts off the top of my foot from wearing those all around, but I could not do it. I couldn't buy shoes again. I spent, for me, which is a lot, I spent like $135 on shoes, and I never do that. I never go over 90. Whether Rob makes fun of me or not, I'm not doing that.
$90 is more than appropriate.
Yeah, that's what I normally spend on, and it's like, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and buy these.
My Jordans were over 100. My running shoes, which since I turned 40 have just turned into my I'm gonna be standing up for a long time shoes. were like 125, but they're the most comfortable shoes I've ever worn in my life. My Sperry's, okay, I go over $100 on shoes a lot. I just realized how much I do that. My suit shoes, my dress shoes are over 100. But like my flip-flops I get rainbows, so they're like 70.
I buy shoes like once every couple years.
Yeah.
It isn't like I buy them
my
every 6
everyday
months.
sneakers, my Adidas and my Reeboks are usually like 70. And off we go. The Rob Brown Show is back on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Rob Brown, the Great Malonzo, are returning from his vacation. The show is whole once again. It's good to have you all. If you want to be a part of the show, well, good news. We afford you the opportunity in multiple platforms, as a matter of fact.
You know, it's amazing. If you're at least pretty good at your job, people are happy to see you when you come back. That's. I mean, you know, there's that. You know.
Hey, we're keeping kayfabe alive out here, people.
By the way, I'm excellent at my job, but still, and now I'm doomed to make a bunch of mistakes, which I can blame on vacation.
Yeah, I mean, you get a couple of days of grace period. I'm good with that. The first few days after I got back from the wedding, the head was spinning. I'm like, what's a basketball? It was tough. It was rough, but we got through it. All right, and the most important thing is that it's early in the morning. We got to get through it. You got to stay awake the whole show. When you do that, you're going to be just fine. All right? As long as you stay awake, you're good. We make it easy around here. All right, we got a lot we got to get to, a lot we got to talk about. We are talking about the College World Series and the absolute disaster it was. NBA Finals Game 7, not a disaster just because of the Haliburton injury. Very disappointing for what we all hoped was going to be one of the more dramatic evenings of sports on the year.
You know, I saw Cole post, and I don't have the exact quote about it.
I do. He said this is one of the most boring Game 7s in the history of the NBA Finals. Which, granted, we haven't had one since, like 2016?
I think he said finals, period. And it's okay.
It's on our Facebook page if you want to go quote him.
Yeah, there's no big-time star. I mean, although the MVP, but still, I mean, he got it because they didn't want to give it to Joker again. I thought it was pretty good.
I actually agree with you.
Everyone cries for parity. Oh, it's just the same teams winning all the time. And then another team gets in there and wins it, and then they're complaining about that.
Yeah.
I think some people, and I'm not saying this is Cole, but there are some people that just want to complain no matter what.
Tell you what I think drives that narrative, and I'm glad you brought this up because I actually had it planned to respond to that. So I'll just give you a little tasty taste right here, and then we'll circle back around for the full discussion here in a little while. I think the reason that is because while you did have some superstars on the court last night, predominantly SGA and for 6.5 minutes, Tyrese Haliburton, neither of these teams are teams that require a 60-point effort from one guy to win. Neither of these teams is what a lot of NBA champions have been in years gone by. For the Cavs/Heat/Lakers to win titles, they need LeBron going off for 50 a night. Neither of these teams need that. These teams are teams that regularly have 10 players in double digits each. So the ball's spread out, more guys are scoring, you're getting more opportunities. But I think a lot of people, and I'm not saying this is Cole, but I'm not going to say it's not Cole. And to the point that I almost kind of want to call him and have him on the show to ask about it.
Do you want to see a team play, or are you just there for the superstars?
I think that's it. I think that's the takeaway. I think that we have, even those of us who have said we want parity in team basketball, I think we have gotten so, I'm almost going to say brainwashed into believing that if there's not him, not them, him, if there's not him out there, then the game's boring. If there's not guys out there hitting consistent breakaway two-hand tomahawks from the free throw line, that it's boring. There was not a ton of dunks. There's no highlight dunks in this series with the exception of Pascal Siakam in Game 6. Outside of that, there was no highlight dunks. Caruso almost had one last night, but he bricked it, right? Outside of that, no highlight dunks in this finals with like one or two exceptions. And I think a lot of people translate that to boring. And my response is, you're wrong. That wasn't boring. That was two great basketball teams, but there wasn't that one guy that they just, if this guy's not it, they can't win. SGA can score 20, and the Thunder can still beat anybody in the league. Tyrese Haliburton can score 10, and the Pacers can still win that game because they got 10 guys that score double digits consistently. That's a good team, not one guy. What I don't want is a box score where I got a dude who scores 50, three guys who score 12, and then 10 guys who are on the floor with stat lines of 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Two good teams. Two well-coached, good teams that execute offenses, and that tricks a lot of you into thinking it's bad because you have been brainwashed by a lot of basketball media to believe that either it's high-flying dunks and logo threes, or it's boring. If that series was boring to you, if that game was boring to you, it wasn't boring until fourth quarter when the Thunder finally said, okay, let's put this thing to bed and let's go win it, right? It wasn't boring till we got about 4 or 5 minutes into the fourth quarter, and because at one point the lead shrunk to like 12 and the Pacers had all the momo. And it's like, okay, if they can get this thing down to like 6 with 4 or 5 minutes to play, maybe the emotion can carry them there. But then, of course,
which
the Thunder
they
broke
had
it
done
open.
the entire series, just about. I mean, a couple games they came back, and the very first game they came back a ton to win.
16 in that game?
And I think game 2 they came back, but they didn't win. I mean, got within, or actually maybe took the lead in the second game, but then OKC went ahead of them.
Yeah,
I think it was a very competitive series, and I'm not a fan of either team, but I was entertained.
I completely agree. Completely agree. We're going to talk more about that later on because I already had it on the rundown to react and respond to and for the record, Cole Bryson is me, Zoe, Cole, and I did find out there's one other show. I did find out there's one other show in the market that regularly talks NBA. The NBA appreciation is rare in this area, and Cole Bryson's one of the few I haven't. Cole and I were texting during the game last night because I know that he was locked in, but that came after he put up the Facebook message that we're going to break down at length later in the show. But we do have to break down the 3 things that you're going to talk about when you get to the office this morning. We're going to break them all down when we do this.
Are you ready for the playbook of the peculiar, the almanac of the absurd, and the encyclopedia of the extraordinary? Well, you better be, because we're diving headfirst into the 3 top stories that will have your coworkers saying,
"Oh no, don't start."
They take their first bathroom break.
No.
Here we go. Welcome to the water cooler cheat sheet on the Fan Upstate.
Too late. We already started, so let's keep going. It is the water cooler cheat sheet, the top 3 sports stories that we'll be discussing when you get to the office this morning, and take that first well-earned smoke or water or snacky snack break, whatever you do. Or maybe you got into the car and take a nap or something. I don't know. I don't judge. I'm not here to judge. I'm here to support. I'm a supporter. Whatever it is you do on your break, I know it involves talking sports. And if you're going to talk sports, you got to know what's going on. And if you got to know what's going on, I'm about to tell you. Let's get to item numero uno. 103-91, the Oklahoma City knock off the Indiana Pacers in Game 7 of the NBA Finals last night. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is the league's regular season MVP. He is the league's finals MVP. He is the league's season scoring champion as well. He is the 4th player in the history of the NBA to accomplish winning all of those in one season. Michael Jordan did it 4 times. Shaq did it once. Kareem did it once. And now SGA has done it. Win the scoring title, the regular season MVP, and the finals MVP all in 1 year. Last night, SGA went for 29. He also pitched in a dozen dimes and 5 boards. Jalen Williams had 20 on 7 of 20 from the floor, including 2 of 7 from deep. 4 boards, 4 assists in the contest. You got 18 out of Holmgren. Finally, Chet reemerged from his hibernation, which was a huge boon to the Thunder last night. 10 off the bench for both Alex Caruso and Cason Wallace. Nobody off the bench scored, actually. Only 20 points off the bench. And what ultimately turned out to be a low-scoring contest. I kind of felt like the under was going to be the play in this game. And it was. How much of that, however, was because of the loss of Tyrese Haliburton. The Pacers superstar exited the game about 6.5 minutes after its tip-off with what, at the time, I think we all knew, that's an Achilles injury, because unfortunately we have gotten very good at recognizing Achilles injuries. There have been so many of them in the sports landscape. in the last couple of years. Haliburton went down to the floor, started slapping the floor in obvious pain, ultimately had to be assisted off of the floor by team trainers and medical professionals. He went back to the locker room and would not be seen again until after the game was over, when he made his way out into the hallway on crutches and in a walking boot to sympathize with his teammates as they made their way back to the locker room. When Haliburton went down, the Pacers played very emotionally. Pretty impressive basketball, to be honest with you. They were able to actually win the first half. They were up by a deuce at the half. Up by one at the half. They were up by one at the half, came out in the third, and at that point, it was all AOKC. Oklahoma City won the third quarter by 14 points to take a 13-point lead. It did grow for a while there. I think it got closer to 18 before the Pacers chipped it back down to 12. Everybody was doing their best to try to hype it up at that point. Here come the Pacers. And they did have some Momo at that spot, but momentum is runs. It's a game of runs, is basketball, and the Pacers just ran out of gas. Oklahoma City would basically do just enough in the fourth quarter to sink the dagger and end the game. At that point, it was just, let's play net zero ball, let the clock run out. That's exactly what happened. The Thunder win the 2025-26 NBA Finals. We will talk more about that later in the show, but we got to get to item numero dos. The National Basketball Association, not the only championship handed out this weekend. I really thought we were going to have a 3-game set in the College World Series. Alas, it was not to be. The LSU Tigers, the Bayou Bengals, knocked off the Coastal Carolina Beach Chickens 5-3 to sweep the Chanticleers out of the College Baseball World Series Finals. LSU knocked Coastal Carolina's ace Jacob Morrison out of the game with a 4-run fourth inning en route to their 5-3 victory. The Tigers finished the season at 53-15. Chanticleers finish at 56-13. They carried a 26-game win streak into the College World Series Finals. They had the momentum until they didn't. Game 1 on Saturday, absolute pitcher's duel. 1-0 LSU victory. It was one of the best pitching and defensive performances I have seen in a baseball game in a very long time. A lot of people got turned off by that. You are wrong for getting turned off by that. It was phenomenal baseball. Then we got to game 2. Kind of felt like we were in the same direction. Coastal Carolina struck first with a dong, made it 1-0. LSU answered the bell, tied the game, went up 3. Ultimately would go up 5-1. Coastal would get a 2-run jack a little later in the game to bring it within 2, but they could not find the plate again. The problem with the game was that there was a lot of controversy in it. Ejected was the head coach of the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers, Kevin Schnall, had not been ejected this season until the first inning of the elimination game, was arguing balls and strikes from the dugout, was given a warning by the umpire for doing so. Came out of the dugout. Kevin Schnall said it was because he did not understand what he was being warned for. Came out of the dugout to clarify, but the warning was to not come out of the dugout. He was shooed off the field twice by the home plate umpire. Ultimately ejected from the game. The first base coach was also ejected as he had some commentary for the umpires walking back. As Schnall was arguing with the umpiring crew on the sideline, the first base umpire who came over to try to get between Kevin Schnall and the home plate umpire, I'm going to call it as I see it, tripped and fell. He didn't get pushed. He didn't get bumped. He tripped and fell. But he claimed that Kevin Schnall bumped him, gave him the 2-game ejection, 2-game suspension, which means that had Coastal Carolina survived and forced a decisive Game 3, Kevin Schnall would not have been allowed to be in the dugout for that game. An absolute disgrace that unfortunately marred what was otherwise a spectacular postseason in college baseball. I am going to rant, yell, and maybe mildly cuss more about this later on in the show. We'll see when we get there. But we do have to get to item number 3. Two different results yesterday. As ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome you all officially to peak radio off season. The NBA is done. College baseball is done. That means between here in the middle of June, we have golf, NASCAR, baseball to get us through.
I watched Slippery Steps this morning.
And ESPN The Ocho.
Yes.
That's the greatest sport ever invented.
In here and there. Saw it was on. How do you not watch that?
Every time. There are two things that I will watch. One of them you will not judge me for. One of them you will. There are two things that I will watch every single time that I tune on the TV and I see it. Aside from, obviously, Tombstone, the greatest movie ever made, the others are Slippery Slopes and marble races. You show me marble racing, I'm watching it every time. I am sorry. I have ADHD, and for whatever reason, marble racing's my lock-in, my stem. And then there's Slippery Steps. If you haven't seen this, it shows up whenever ESPN 8 does the Ocho, when they flip it over. Usually August 8th, 8/8, they flip over. Slippery Stairs. It's a staircase with plastic on top that they then cover in soap and water, and people try to race to get to the top. It's the most hilarious thing you're ever going to watch. It's fantastic. So I'm all in on Slippery Stairs. But for those of you that do not want full segment breakdowns of last night's Slippery Stairs competition, we have the PGA and WPGA, or excuse me, LPGA. We have the WNBA for another couple of weeks, and we have NASCAR. So let's talk golf and NASCAR. Keegan Bradley rallies from 3 shots down, able to make up all 3 in the final 5 holes of the Travelers Championship last night. Rallied from a 3-shot deficit, with 4 to play, hit a 9-iron to 6 feet for birdie on the final hole to knock off Tommy Fleetwood, who choked. We just got to call it what it is, right? Like, he had a chance to win this thing, and unfortunately, he choked. Keegan Bradley now has more wins in the last year than any American not named Scotty Scheffler at this point. Number 9 in the Ryder Cup standings, a career best number 7 in the world rankings. And the only question now after this win is, will the captain of the U.S. Ryder Cup team name Keegan Bradley to the team? He's been on fire lately. Will the U.S. Ryder Cup captain name Keegan Bradley as a player in the Ryder Cup? I don't know. Do you know who will have to ask? The U.S. Ryder Cup captain, Keegan Bradley. What a spot for that dude to be in. Dude is playing the best golf he's played in a long time. Better golf than most of the guys on the Ryder Cup team, but he's the captain of the team. They usually don't name themselves as players, normally because they're not always in their best spot. He is. We approve of him putting himself on the team, right? Like, player manager. The dude's playing the best golf of anybody not named Scotty Scheffler.
It's not like he's really bad and decide, well, I'm captain, I do what I want.
Yeah, this ain't some 65-year-old retired dude that's like, well, let me give it one more run. That's not what 65-year-olds sound like, but I had to be a jerk there for a second. Keegan, put yourself on the team. We're all good with it. And over on the NASCAR world, Chase Briscoe gets the win last night at Pocono, holds off Denny Hamlin, who has, 4 wins at Pocono. Briscoe was able to keep the car together late, save enough gas. He pitted just 1 lap ahead of Hamlin. Thought they might run out of gas about a lap short, but he was able to, and this is why he deserves golf clap for Chase Briscoe, able to preserve enough gas to give himself the last half a lap they needed, was able to knock off Denny Hamlin by about 0.6 of a second. Good race for the top 4 guys in it. Everybody else, not what I had hoped out of a great racetrack. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Yes, that is a correct take, Wesley. I agree entirely. Don't know if y'all like Hey Dudes, but they have a 3 for $99 sale right now since we're talking about shoes. You know what? I like it. I like a Hey Dudes. The hippie crunchy brother-in-law who I love dearly is a Hey Dudes guy.
All right, you got to remind me what they are. I think you've told me before and I forget.
They're the couple over in Charleston that, like, their recreational day is 10 miles of hiking with babies strapped on their back.
Oh.
They're granola people. They're crunchy. And I love them for it, but they're crunchy. You know what a granola people is.
No. I got it. I get it.
But he's a big Hey Dudes guy, and he won. The father-in-law, who is an ex-United States Marine, who is just like gruff country boy that, has never hired anybody to do anything in his life. He just knows how to do everything. He has gotten into the Hey Dudes because of the granola brother-in-law. And I feel like if it's good enough for the father-in-law, it's good enough for me. So that might be the trigger for me to try the Hey Dudes. I appreciate the heads up. Back after this. Wait, say that sentence again on the stream.
I went straight uphill at medieval
Yes.
times. All right, Cameron and I went straight uphill at medieval times. We have never the green section. The Green Knight always betrays.
Yep.
Finally got in the green section. And so the queen addresses the green section, and the king doesn't like the green section. So we're straight up making noise over there. So when he goes to betray him and stab the other guy.
You don't get to pick your section. They just take you to one, right?
Yeah.
Okay. The Rub Around Show on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate. I have been really kind of turning over and over baseball umpiring in my head for a few years now. And anybody who's listened to this show for longer than 10 minutes is aware of that. Now, it's not coming yet to NCAA baseball, but I hope it does soon. The ABS. It's coming to Major League Baseball next year, and I was excited already because a ball's a ball and a strike's a strike. A ball is a ball and a strike is a strike. We've got to officiate it that way. But so many really dumb situations, like the one that happened in the first inning of the College World Series, could be prevented if we had that. If balls and strikes were called by an ABS and were challengeable, then what happened to Kevin Schnall yesterday doesn't happen. Because if he can, after a ball or a strike that he believes is incorrect, if he can challenge it, tap the helmet, tap the cap, whatever, if he can challenge it and get that call overturned and he's right about it, then he's got no reason to come out onto the field and argue balls and strikes or to be chirping the umpire from the dugout. No reason for it at all. And the fact that he did have a reason for it, which is umpires are not held to any particular standard for getting it wrong and never have been, it ultimately led to a Charmin soft, ego-driven ump who, for the second time in 3 seasons, has massively impacted the opportunity for success for a college baseball program that had put itself into a position to find success. This is the same umpire who tossed Cam Canarella from the Clemson-Tennessee regional elimination game in 2023. A moment that probably, I'm not going to say definitively because I believe, if I recall off the top of my head correctly, Clemson still would have had to come back and win another game over Tennessee. Much like Kevin Schnall getting ejected in the first inning of Coastal v. LSU yesterday. I'm not saying that they would have won if it didn't happen. I'm saying they definitely could not have won because it did happen. Same situation. And it was an ego-driven move created by the fact that an umpire was not held to any sort of standard, has not been held to any sort of standard, and was doing a bad job yesterday. I want to be real clear about something. Calling balls and strikes is not easy. Baseballs move very fast. They move faster than the human eye is capable of tracking and being asked to put it into a 3-dimensional plane of existence. This is why people make the argument all the time that the most difficult thing to do in all of sports is hit a baseball. It's the hardest thing to do in sports. You have a reaction time of about that much to decide if to swing, where to swing, how to swing, when to swing, and to swing. You got that much time to make that decision, which is not enough time. Yet somehow the best baseball players in the world figure it out. It's not easy to umpire, which is why I would like technology that it is easy to umpire with. This is nothing more than that. But then every now and then, you get one who goes ego-driven. You get one who takes it a step too far. And that's what happened in the game yesterday. Again, I'm not making the argument that Coastal Carolina definitely would have won if Kevin Schnall was in the dugout. What I'm saying is they would have had a better chance of it. To have the head coach, the guy that knows the team better than anybody, the guy that knows, or at least you hope, what to say, when to say it, how to say it, what triggers to pull, what levers to pull, what guys to leave in, what guys to take out, which guys to pinch hit, pinch run for, when pitchers need to be moved around or spoken to give a confidence boost, whatever. That guy's got to be in the dugout. And when you have an ego-driven umpire, which you're not going to convince me Angel wasn't yesterday, when you have an ego-driven umpire like that, it can ruin a game. Again, I go back to just a few days before that. There was a Los Angeles Dodgers game. Yoshinobu Yamamoto was on the bump, one of the aces for the Dodgers. I say one of the aces because they got like 12 of them on that team. It's infuriating. On the bump, Marvin Hudson is behind the dish. Yamamoto was on the verge of completing an immaculate inning. That is, striking out the opposition 1, 2, 3 on 9 pitches. You do it in 9 pitches, the minimum number of pitches you can strike out 3 batters with. On the verge of an immaculate inning. These don't happen. And when they do, they are talked about forever, because especially if you happen to be watching one. Yoshinobu Yamamoto was on the verge of an immaculate inning. 2 strikes on Fernando Tatis Jr., a 96-mile-an-hour heater that was as close to middle as it gets. Middle of the dish, middle of the strike zone, up and down. It was like maybe 3 inches above middle. This was a strike as clear as the day can be. And the umpire, Marvin Hudson, just missed it. Now, I will give him credit. It became very obvious to Marvin Hudson after he missed it that he missed it. But unfortunately, we live in a world where, because of reasons, umpires will not, with like the very rare exception, umpires will not overturn their own call even after they recognize they got it wrong. I've seen it happen like one time in the past 2 years. There was one time it happened actually this year, like 2 weeks ago. I think it was in fact, I think pretty sure it was a Dodgers game as well, where there was a check swing that resulted in the ball hitting the ground. I don't remember exactly the scenario. But long story short, the home plate umpire made a signal, recognized he was wrong, and overturned it. He's like, nope, that's my bad. That's a walk. And I came in the next day, and I gave that man flowers. I'm like, that's a man right there. I made a mistake. I screwed the pooch. I gut reacted. My gut was wrong. My bad. I'm getting it right. I'd be a lot less anti-baseball umpire if that was the norm and not the rarest of exception. Dude behind the plate yesterday was getting them wrong. Getting pitches wrong consistently, and Kevin Schnall went to let him know about it. If that doesn't happen, if we have an ABS, Kevin Schnall stays on the sideline, perhaps, maybe, possibly, the Beach Chickens win that game, and Rob Brown is a very happy boy because instead of saying, welcome to peak off season, the NBA and college baseball finals are over with, Rob Brown saying, yo, LSU, Coastal Carolina tonight, 7:30, decisive game 3. No, we don't get it. We don't get it. I'm not saying they would have won. I'm saying they would not win without him in the dugout. This is why I am excited about ABS. Because if Kevin Schnall in the dugout truly believes that Angel Campos had missed multiple calls in that game, then after every one of them, he could have tapped the helmet, gotten a 13-second review, and all of them would have been right. Or at least Coastal would have gotten the opportunity to prove that they were wrong. And instead, we don't get it. And not only do we not get it, but an umpire who had already, because he wanted to make it the Blue Show, ruined one team's chance at a natty. That would be yours, Clemson Tigers, from the 2023 regional when he threw Cam Cannarella out. got an opportunity to ruin another team's chance to win a national championship. For those of you that have said, well, Rob, what about the human element? There's your human element. That's your human element. Your human element got the head coach of a national championship team tossed 28 pitches into the first inning of an elimination game in a World Series Finals. There's your human element. You want to know why I despise the human element argument? There's your bleeping reason. Because the human element got a coach tossed in the biggest, most consequential game of the season. In a sport that gave us an absolutely perfect postseason. Regional Supers, the Omaha tournament, all of it was fantastic. And it all got ruined by an ego-driven umpire who was getting it wrong and couldn't handle the criticism. It's a joke. This is why when you hit me with the human element argument, I immediately disregard it and do not care about another word you have to say because you clearly don't get it. This can't keep happening. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. No more baseball for like 13 to 15 minutes until we talk about more things going wrong for the Braves. The Rob Brown Show, the Fan Upstate.
Sounds like a myth to me, Steven. He would never do that.
I did. I walked all Braves on Friday because they swept the Mets, and your boy was excited. And then you know what they did, Steven? They turned around and lost 2 of 3 to the Miami Marlins and gave the ground right back. This is why I hate the Braves right now. God, be right back.
And silver, do not put your hands up. So when they release the Falcon, it gets really close to people.
Yeah.
It flies around and
We're talking medieval nights, not an Auburn game.
medieval times.
We are going to get to the Gold Cup, Stephen. Sorry. I don't think they flew the Falcon the one time that I went.
Oh, they do this. We've been a bunch of times, and they do it every time. Also, when they get the favor of the queen, they get flowers, and so they throw it out to girls. And threw one to Raven. Raven's like this. and just snagged it. It was so sweet. It's like, man, I wish someone was filming that. Proud but not surprised. I mean, it was just so smooth, just boom. The food is good though, except for they bring you tomato soup, then they bring you garlic bread. I still think they should bring those together.
I'm going to concur. I'm going to take it one step further. Garlic cheesy bread.
Yeah.
With tomato soup. I got last week real big into grilled cheese sandwiches for a hot minute there, because Courtney loves a fried bologna sandwich, and so I made her fried bologna sandwiches for dinner one week last week, which I've made them before, but like I've never felt compelled to eat them. But I was like, you know what, I'm gonna make one of these. So I made one, and then as soon as I finished the first one, I was like, I bet a fried bologna sandwich with cheese would be good. So then I made another one and put pepper jack on it with a little bit of Duke's and fried that up. And oh my God, was it delicious. And then the next day I wanted it again, but I realized I finished all the bologna. So I just started making pepper jack grilled cheese sandwiches. Holy cow. I forgot how good grilled cheese is. The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. It's the Fan Upstate. I want your opinion on this sound clip from LeBron James.
I don't know why it's discussed so much in our sport and why it's the A-all, B-all of everything. Like, okay, you weren't a great player if you never won a championship. Yeah. It's like, or if you won one, then you can't be in the same conversation with this person. It's like,
but that's a great point, because what you're saying is like, no matter what you have, you need more. No matter what.
Right.
So LeBron James there was talking about ring culture, as it has been called in the past.
This was so funny what a big deal this was made out of. And he's right. If someone else said it, then people, oh yeah, he's got a good point. But because LeBron said it, it's you're not listening to his words and what he's saying. So people like Charles Barkley and guys like that who never won a championship, are they not great players?
So the reason why
except for Dan Marino, not a great player. Because he never won a championship.
The reason why it is such a big deal about LeBron James saying it, and I'm going to start this by telling you, I'm about to defend LeBron James. So get your knickers ready to be twisted, because I'm about to defend the king. Which
I just did already, too, so it's not...
Well, I'm going to take it from a different direction, because you're saying they're attacking him because of LeBron James, just who he is.
Because of who said it. There are a lot of things that if I say something in a certain setting, people are like, but if you say it, suddenly it has weight to it. Or it just... If... I'm trying to think of if... who could have said it and it wouldn't have come across the same way?
I have the answers for you here. I'm going to defend LeBron James by saying a couple of things. I'm going to start with this. First off, every word he said was correct. There is a fascination with ring culture. Now, I will say that, and I guess mild opposition to that the goal of team sports is to win championships. And I don't care what level you're at. I don't care if it is your elementary school field day team. I don't care if you're that. I want to win the field day championship. Shout out Miss Gherkin's third grade class at Shalimar Elementary.
Field day's more individual, unless you're
our field day had team events.
Okay.
We had to carry the water in the scooper, first team to fill up the bottle. We had the relay race, the three-legged race, the sack race relay.
All right.
There's a lot of team events. It's a class thing. Miss Gherkin's third grade class, monsters, son. Nobody was getting the mighty Gherkin Gators. Wasn't happening. Now, I agree with LeBron. It is also too emphasized. This belief that you can't be a great player if you don't get a ring is dumb. It would not be dumb if the NBA was a one-on-one basketball league, because then one man would win a title. But this concept of you're not a great player if you can't win a ring is dumb, because then you have to tell me that Karl Malone was not a great player, that Charles Barkley was not a great player, that John Stockton was not a great player, that Allen Iverson was not a great player, that Patrick Ewing was not a great player, that Steve Nash was not a great player, that Reggie Miller was not a great player, that Elgin Baylor, for you old hats, was not a great player, that Chris Paul was not a great player, that James Harden is not a great player. You have to, that's just the first 10. Those were 10 I came up with off the top of the noggin because you hear about them all the time. Now, the reason LeBron is getting attacked for this take on ring culture is because LeBron James was a Cleveland Cavalier. And then he took his talents to South Beach. Why? To go win a championship. Not one, not two, not three, not four. You know the joke. So he went to Miami. And I don't think anybody out there is going to argue that he did it to chase a ring. And then he left there and he went back to Cleveland to chase a ring. And then he left Cleveland and he went to Los Angeles to chase a ring. LeBron has been chasing rings his entire career. So I will acknowledge that it's absolutely hypocritical. It is absolutely hypocritical on its surface for LeBron James to be the guy to say this. However, America, it's your fault that he had to do that. Because here's the reality. Had LeBron James, let's say, theoretically said, I'm a lifelong Cavalier. I'm a Cleveland-born, Cleveland-bred Cavalier. I am the king. You are all witnesses. I'm staying in C-Town. And had he stayed in C-Town, and let's say hypothetically that the Cleveland Cavaliers never won a ring around LeBron. LeBron could have averaged 52 a game his whole career. LeBron James could have averaged 52, 12, and 10 his whole career. But if he didn't get a ring, he knows, and I know, and let's be honest with each other, America, you know, that you never would have listed him amongst the greats. He could have averaged 52, 12, and 10 his whole career, but if he never got a ring, you all would have said, he's not one of the GOATs. He's not in the conversation. He had to chase a ring because if he did not get a ring, at least one, but preferably more, had he never gotten a ring, you never would have put him in the conversation of the GOAT. And LeBron James, and I don't fault him for this because it's not wrong. LeBron James feels like LeBron James should be in the GOAT conversation. But you, America, would never let him in the GOAT conversation if he didn't stack rings. So he had to do it, or else he just had to accept. He will always be called one of the greatest of all time. And you know how I know that that's true? Because at this point, those of you that, and I'm not jumping into the MJ LeBron discussion right here. I'm just making a point utilizing the discussion right here. Those of you that are MJ stans, and I don't fault you for it. I grew up in the 90s. Those of you that are MJ stans, anytime the discussion about MJ and Bron comes up, where do you immediately run? Rings. You immediately run to rings. And you do not take into consideration the roster of great players that were with Mike. You just say rings. As if it is an individual stat. It's not. It is a team stat. I don't care if it is Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, or anybody else who has ever stepped on an NBA hardwood court. No matter how good they were. Winning a ring is something that requires a good basketball team. There has never been a bad team with one star that won a championship. There's been a lot of bad teams with one star that made the playoffs, maybe even won a series or two. But there's never been a bad team with one star, no matter how generational they are, that also won an NBA Finals. It doesn't happen. There have been okay teams that have won NBA championships because of a great player. Jordan probably had one or two of those. Kobe had a couple of them. There have been some okay teams that were dragged to a title by a great player, but there's never been a bad team. So, anytime that the LeBron v. MJ discussion heaps up, which is all the time, those of you that are willing to roll up the sleeves and die on the hill that Michael Jordan's the GOAT, you immediately run to the rings as the number one reason why. So LeBron knew in Cleveland, if we win titles here, it's going to be because I dragged them to a title. The first title LeBron won, who was the best player on that team that wasn't LeBron James? He had some time with Kyrie, as Kyrie was a developing player, not peak Kyrie, not final form Kyrie, developing player. The best big man that LeBron ever played with was Zydrunas Ilgauskas, Big Z.
Big Z.
He had Big Z. That's the best five he ever won a championship. Big Z.
So we're just talking Cleveland here.
Talking Cleveland. Because in order for LeBron not to be a hypocrite.
You're just going to discount Kevin Love, who's pretty good.
I love Kevin Love, but can we keep it a buck? Kevin Love is big TJ McConnell. Good player. Kevin Love's not a great player.
Kevin Love, one of the best long-range passers in the history of the NBA.
Good player. Not a great player.
How he and LeBron were able to hook up with those long passes, it was an amazing
good player, had a real good feature about him. Good player.
And also someone who LeBron asked to come to Cleveland.
Because he was a good player. Good player. Not a world-class player. Great longevity to the career. Tall TJ McConnell. Did a lot good, nothing really great. That's the kind of guy you want around LeBron James. Much like you want a TJ McConnell alongside Tyrese Haliburton, you want a Kevin Love with the LeBron James. That's great. But the point is, the teams that LeBron was playing and winning with in Cleveland were like good teams. They weren't great teams. And so he recognized, and I think early in his career, I might get a ring or two here, but I'm not going to be building a dynasty in Cleveland. They are not going to build a dynasty around me, so I'm going to go somewhere they will. And he went to Miami to chase rings. Sure. Does that make him a hypocrite? I'm going to say no, it doesn't. And here's why. Because I think that you can believe that ring culture is overhyped, as I do. I think that you can believe that the narrative rings equal greatness is a bad flow of thought, and I do, and yet recognize that even if you dislike it, it is still the rule. For y'all, at least, it's the rule. So LeBron has two options. Number one, I can stay in Cleveland. I can win maybe a championship or two, maybe 3, but I'm never getting to 6. I'm just not in Cleveland. I played 20 years. I'm not getting to 6. And if I can't get to 6, I'm never going to have the opportunity to be in the discussion with Mike. I'm never going to get the opportunity to be in the discussion with Kobe, with Kareem, with the all-time legitimate GOAT bracket. I'm never going to be in that bracket. So I'm going to go get my rings. And I say that because I have made it very clear. I don't dislike. I despise hot takes in radio. I despise them. I think it's lazy radio. I think if you can't look at sports that are happening and craft good takes, craft good opinions, you don't know ball, brother. If you have to lean on it, if all you have is hot takes, you don't know ball, brother. I believe that in my heart. But sometimes, because even though I hate it, I also understand that once again, because of you, America, hot takes work. Stephen A. Smith ain't famous if y'all don't keep clicking on him. Stephen A. Smith is a nobody if y'all stop reacting to his dumbass hot takes. But you don't, and you won't. You have made it a rule that hot takes work in my industry. And do you know what that does to somebody like me who despises hot takes, who thinks that rule sucks? You make me do it. I don't have a choice. Because if I want to stay employed, if I want to come in here and do this job every day, I have to succeed. I have to get you guys to listen. I have to get you guys to tune in. I have to get you guys to text and call and tweet and do all these things that I can then take that report to the boss and go, look, here's our engagement. And the boss has to look and go, hey, great job crafting that engagement. And y'all react to hot takes. So every now and then, and I'm pulling back the curtain, I am in defense of LeBron James. So I guess call me a cuck or whatever. In defense of LeBron James, I will pull back the curtain. Once every X amount of days, I got to craft a hot take. Do you know why? Because y'all react to it. Because if I sit here and I give you good takes, if I sit here and tell you what happened on the basketball court or what the real meaning of legacy is or whatever, y'all don't react. Because I'm going to say it's because you go, that's a great take, Rob. I can't add, so I'm not going to call. Can't add, not going to text. But when I come on here and say something that's real damn dumb as a hot take, my text line blows up. The phone lines light up. My phone starts beeping because I'm getting tweets. Y'all have made in the sports broadcast industry, I'm going total heel mode right now. Y'all have made it to where hot takes rule. I can't understand why Stephen A. Smith's famous. Because you keep tweeting him. End of discussion. If you stop doing that and the engagement goes away, so does his paycheck. But you keep doing it. LeBron's right. The only reason that ring culture is the main qualifier for greatness is because y'all keep saying it is, even though that's a bad thought process. And so LeBron had two options. Stay in Cleveland, don't chase rings, maybe win 3 or 4, never get into the discussion with Mike and Kobe and Kareem and these great players. Or chase rings, win them, and be in that discussion. Sometimes you can hate the rule, but recognize that if you don't follow it, you fall behind. Sometimes you can hate the system and recognize that if I don't play within the system, I'll never get ahead of the game. LeBron recognizes that. The ring culture argument is dumb because it's a team game. But also, if he doesn't go play that game, the ring culture game, he never gets brought up in the same breath as Mike. It's not that hard. It is America. It is your fault entirely. LeBron's not a hypocrite. He just understands the situation he's in. The situation you're in is 60 seconds of pleasure from Lonzo Sports Flash.
You're welcome. With a 103-91 win over Indiana, the Oklahoma City Thunder claimed the 2025-26 NBA World Championship. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander scored 29 in the win and claimed the Finals MVP, becoming just the fourth ever player to win the scoring title, regular season MVP, and Finals MVP in one season. The LSU Tigers won the College World Series Baseball Championship with a 5-3 victory, securing a 2-game sweep of the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers, who had won 26 consecutive games entering the final. Coastal Carolina head coach Kevin Schnall was ejected in the first inning in a controversial decision for arguing balls and strikes and leaving the dugout. Chase Briscoe recorded his third career NASCAR win yesterday, holding off Denny Hamlin to take the checkered flag at Pocono. The win is the first for the number 19 Toyota of Joe Gibbs Racing since 2023. So my first one back was amazing. My second one, I forgot how to read. I didn't forget how to read. My mouth forgot how to speak. I'm so ashamed. I'm going back on vacation. So 15 stories up on the vacation. I had to figure out how to get to the room without vertigo hitting and me get dizzy and fall over the rail and die.
Did you see out from the stairs?
It's an open railing.
It's an open railing?
Well, this is on the parking lot side.
Okay.
So to get to the room, I had to face the wall and keep
Walk
my head
sideways.
towards the wall the entire way. The problem was if anyone was out there moving, I got dizzy. So I had to wait. It had to be completely empty. And then nobody wanted to be out on that thing. So, people got to their rooms quick. Sitting on the balcony 15 floors up, I was okay as long as I didn't look down. If I looked down, I got dizzy. But if I just looked out, it's just ocean as far as you can see. So
it's if you get sick like that, you're supposed to look at the horizon, I think.
But-
I know with seasickness, if you get seasick, you're supposed to look
Yeah.
at the horizon.
the one problem is when you look over and the birds are right here, right next to you, and you realize the birds are right next to you because you're up where the birds fly. And there was a couple of times I'm thinking, okay, these birds are coming in here. What do I do?
Bird next to you, not a problem. Bird next to you flapping its wings.
Yeah. So I was more concerned. I was reading a hardback book. If the bird comes in, it's taking a dive because I'm just swinging. But I was more worried about, and I had to stay seated the entire time. Then when I got up, I had to look at the ground or look at the floor and make my way into the room. Still got a little dizzy, but I made it. I'm okay. I was still able to have a good time, even with the vertigo. As I told my wife, hey, let's find a way to pay extra money and be on the second floor. And used to, I could just look out, look down, and didn't have any problems at all. As a kid, I made fun of other kids who got dizzy. So maybe, if you believe in karma, maybe that's what this is.
See, I don't know why. I like heights. I like flying. If I go to a hotel,
I
I
used
ask for
to.
the top room.
I used to. I don't know what happened.
You're like me with oysters. Used to be one of my favorite things. Now I can't touch them. I mean, I can, but
They're really slimy and it just.
I love oysters. I end up it coming out of both ends and with stomach cramps for a day now after I eat them. I don't know what happened.
You're welcome, Stream.
No, I'm not walking it back. It's your fault. LeBron James is not a hypocrite, and he's also not wrong. Everything he said is 100% accurate and correct. Everything. And him chasing rings doesn't mean that his take on ring culture is wrong. It just means he understands he has to play by it. It's kind of like when you hear somebody come on and say, I'll give you the perfect example. The interstate speed limit through Georgia is like 55 miles an hour for a hot minute. It is, 65 in South Carolina, and it's 70 in Florida. So when I drive through Georgia, I can rant and rave about how the interstate speed limit should be 70. I believe that Georgia has their interstate speed limit below the other states around it for a reason. You know what that reason is? So they can pop your ass doing 65 when you cross the South Carolina border. So that they can pop your ass when you cross over Florida doing 70. They can grab you, bang. I drive that way regularly, 4, 5, 6 times a year when I go back to Pensacola. And inevitably, when I cross from South Carolina into Georgia, there's 2, 3, 4 people getting pulled over and getting tickets. When I cross from Georgia into Florida on the other side, there's 4, 5, 6 people pulled over getting tickets. Almost every time. There's a reason for that. So I can complain and gripe about it all I want. But you know what else I have to do? Drive 55. I got to be anti-Sammy Hagar. I can drive 55, and I have to, because otherwise I get punished for it. Does it make me a hypocrite when I drive 70 in Florida? Does it make me a hypocrite when I go 5 miles over? No. It means I'm playing within the rules that are established because I am punished for it if I don't, even if it's a dumb rule. That's how the world works. You have to play within the rules of the system while fighting to change them. If I lived in Georgia, I would probably do some sort of petition or letter writing campaign to get the state Senate to up the speed limit on the interstate So it doesn't take me 9 hours to do what it takes me 7 to do in every other state. But I still have to do it until they change it. That's how the game works. That's LeBron. He is playing within the rules that y'all have established. He's doing things because he's got to conform to this system that y'all have arbitrarily created, but he's also fighting to get that system changed. He is fighting to change the mentality of ring culture. He is fighting to change this dumb rule that so many of y'all push constantly. You know what it is? It's the NBA's version of my poster back here. Quarterback stat. Wins and losses is not one of them. It's the same argument. We blame losses on quarterbacks even when they're not the quarterback's fault because it's a team game. We give credit to quarterbacks for wins, even when they're not the quarterback's fault, I guess, whatever words you want to use there, whatever correct words you want to use there. They're not quarterback stats. They're a team stat. It's the NBA's version of that. And I fight against this dumb thing just like I hope LeBron continues to fight against that dumb thing. All right. We got a lot more to get to. Let's get a couple of texts in here real quick before we get to the audio blitz. We were talking about baseball umpires earlier because of the College World Series. Yeah, I'm probably going to go off on that one more time. Texter says, Corn Chip says, I give those guys props. Most I've done is slow pitch intramural softball umpiring. I'm friends with a major league player or two, as well as an umpire who was working his way up before dropping down to college umpiring. I can only imagine what it's like for them. I don't have to imagine. I've done it. Not umpired a Major League Baseball game, but I've told you this story before about taking a 100-mile-an-hour fastball. There was a kid that played for LSU named Blake Dean. When I was doing radio down in Florida, he built a baseball training facility in Crestview, and I was working for the TV news, so he invited me out to come cover the opening of this facility. And one of the things he had in it was this pitching machine. The machine itself was behind a screen, and what they could do was they could change the angle of the pitching machine and then project a pitcher up onto the screen, throwing overhand, sidearm, submarine, whatever. And then they would put the image of the pitcher, and the video would roll of the pitcher throwing his pitch with his delivery, and then the ball would shoot out wherever the pitcher's hand was. When he released the ball, the ball would shoot out from behind the screen to simulate taking a pitch from a big leaguer. So Blake Dean opened this place, and when I got there, we started chatting, and he's like, hey, did you play ball? I was like, yeah, in high school. I wasn't very good, but I played a little bit. And he goes, you want to take a couple of pitches? And I said, absolutely, I do. Absolutely. Because I was, 31, something like that. So I stepped into this rig. Had the helmet, had the gloves, had the elbow guard on. Like I was big leaguer, man. I felt good. And he goes, all right, I'm going to give you 75 down the pipe. That is a college changeup at best. It's really more like a high school changeup. So I 75 down the pipe so you can get your swing back, get your rhythm back. And I said, great. Now, Blake, being a funny guy, Blake turned the machine up to 100 miles per hour for an inside four-seam heater.
Like you wouldn't do that.
No, I absolutely would.
Yeah, I mean.
But he did it to me, so I hate it.
Okay, all right.
And let me just tell you, 100 miles per hour on the inside rubber made me nearly crap my pants. Okay? And that's not me like, ha ha, funny. No, I mean, I literally almost crap my pants. The ball went by. First off, they don't tell you this. You can hear the ball whistle by. You can hear it because it's traveling at the speed of friggin' sound.
Makes sense.
So you can hear the ball go by. There's a catcher back there. It pops the glove. It sounds like a gun went off. Lonzo, I took off the helmet. I set it on the plate. I took off the gloves. I sat him with the helmet. I sat the bat down, and I walked out of the cage. It was like the Undertaker retiring after WrestleMania. I just laid the boots in the center of the mat and bounced. And I have not seen a live pitch since then because I'm good. Now, the reason I tell you that story is to tell you that one of the other things I did was there were like 4, 5, 6 more media guys there, and they all went in to take cuts too. And because I was curious, I stood behind them where an umpire would, a couple of feet back, but like where an umpire would, and got down and wanted to call balls and strikes just to see. 100-mile-an-hour fastball, it is hard as hell to see where it's going to go. But this is why. And Cody Decker's made this point before. 10 years ago, not even decades ago, 10 years ago, an MLB staff normally had one guy that could throw 100 miles an hour on it. Now most staffs have like 3 or 4 guys that can tap 100. Most of them have 2 starters, maybe 3 that can get 100, a middle reliever who can do 100, and a closer who can do 100 plus. Aroldis Chapman has been in the Major League Baseball circuit for like 16 years, throws 104 miles per hour today. He's like 40 years old. He can still do it. Calling balls and strikes is real hard to do. Just physically, as a person. I don't care how long you've been doing it, it's hard to do. And this is part of the reason that I have said, go to the ABS now. Because we have gotten to the point where pitchers can do things with a baseball that an umpire's eyeballs cannot comprehend and relay to his brain where that baseball was. So use the tech. It's hard to do. Use the tech. Texter said, the same manager, talking about Kevin Schnall getting tossed, the same manager in the first game said we got to score to win, which they didn't do, so they lost. Both teams had to deal with the same elements. I get what you're saying. You are correct. Except for, at that point in the game, only Coastal, and I'm saying this as, again, I'm a neutral observer in this. I grew up an LSU fan because my family all went there. I am not like a big LSU fan. Like, I like them because my family likes them. But also, how many times have I told you, what's the number one motivating factor? If I'm not cheering for one of Rob Brown's teams, I have one motivating factor for who I am rooting for in any other game. What is it? Whoever's going to get me paid. If the South Carolina Gamecocks were at Omaha, I'd be in here rocking garnet and black. If Clemson goes to Omaha, I'm hitting you with a Go Tigers every day. Because if they win a championship, I get to come in here and celebrate that, and you guys are going to tune in to hear what I have to say about it. Give me that paper. All right? My rooting interests cannot be sold, but they can be rented for a paycheck. So, for my family, I was happy and hopeful for LSU. For my job, for the paycheck, it would have been fan-damtastic if the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers would have won a championship, because we'd have been in here talking about it. And I had the hot take crafted. Clemson and South Carolina should both be striving to one day, if they play all their cards right, one day, maybe they'll be as good as the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers. There's your fun, hot take.
I don't see why you can't still use that.
No, I still can, because they were in the College World Series. Those other 2 teams either didn't make it or got bounced from the own regional that they hosted. So I still can say that. But blah, 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 blah. The point here was, yes, I agree. Both teams have to play under the same elements. Except 28 pitches into the game, it had absolutely been against Coastal Carolina at that point. I watched every pitch of that game. Every pitch. I only picked up the phone to rant on Twitter about the ejection. Other than that, I was not tweeting. I just wanted to be dialed into the baseball game, because it's the last college baseball game I get for like 8 months. Of course I was locked into it. So at that point, Coastal, who was already up against it being down a game, and on top of that, just not having the talent LSU does, they needed an equal game, and they weren't getting it. So, of course, I was going to complain about it. And, of course, Kevin Schnall was right. Spike said, Rob, are you saying LeBron had to put a ring on it? Yeah, for you people. For y'all. If LeBron not put a ring on it, Spike, for LeBron to be accepted by you, America, LeBron understood he had to put several rings on it. One ring wouldn't have done it. You ought to have said, oh, it's a fluke. It's a fluke. Even it says some bad players have won. Hell, Alex Caruso's got 2 rings. Is he a GOAT conversation guy? It was a fluke. He knew he had to put several rings on it. So what'd he do? He repeatedly and consistently went places that gave him the best chance to put several rings on it in order to win the approval of you basketball fans of America. It's your fault. LeBron's not a hypocrite. He understood the system, and he did what he had to do within the system to give himself a chance to be mentioned in the conversation, which I don't blame him for it. Let's see. Texas said Georgia has the high speed limit, yet they have more cops closer to the border pulling people over. I hardly see one on the South Carolina side coming back from Atlanta. That's from Cornchip. Did I get it backwards? Is it South Carolina lower than Georgia? I thought it was Georgia's that dropped down. I thought when you left South Carolina into Georgia, it went down.
I think more his point is where are the South Carolina police? I think that was his point.
Fair enough. Either way, the point here is it was not to comment on the law enforcement activities of any particular state. It was more along the lines to point out that there is a system. The system is designed to have an impact in a particular way, and even though that impact is detrimental, negative, and the system's dumb, you still have to play within that system. You can argue about it. You can take actions to change it. That's what LeBron's doing. He's trying to point out to you that the ring culture argument is dumb and bad. If it was not dumb and bad, we would not have to talk about it. Again, I went yesterday, after this became the discussion, I said, who are the best players to never win a ring? And I decided, let me see how many I can come up with off the top of my head. Malone, Barkley, Stockton, Iverson, Ewing, Nash, Miller, Baylor, Paul, Harden. That's I came up with that 10. Are you going to tell me none of those players were great players? Are you going to tell me none of that? Are you going to sit here, you younger guy, you guys my age, you're going to tell me Allen Iverson wasn't a great player? You old hats, you're going to tell me Carmelo, John Stockton, and Elgin Baylor weren't great players? You kids who are slightly older than me, you're going to tell me Reggie Miller wasn't a great player? You're going to tell me Patrick Ewing wasn't a great player? They're all great players. They are all all-timers. They are all all-century team caliber players. None of them won a ring. Are you making the argument that none of them were great players? Because if you are, once again, you don't know ball, brother. That's just what it is. If you think those cats weren't great players, and they weren't great players because they didn't win a ring, my argument is going to be you don't know ball, brother. Because Allen Iverson's one of the greatest point guards I ever watched play. John Stockton, one of the greatest point guards I ever watched play. I despised Patrick Ewing as a kid. Despised him as a kid. Also recognized the absolute greatness of Patrick Ewing. If you think those guys aren't great players because they don't have rings,
and let me tell you, you don't know ball.
I just went and dug that bite out specifically for that moment because it's accurate. All right, let's do this. Let's take a break. When we come back here in a minute, let's get the audio blitz in here. Some of the best audio we picked up over the weekend. I got stuff from all over the sportosphere. We'll pick that up when we come back. I am Rob Brown. He is the great one, Lonzo. And you, even if you are wrong about the NBA's ring culture, are still an amazing person. And listening to the Rob Brown Show here on the Fan Upstate.
So I had a Walmart situation where I don't know if it was a listener or not. So we bought a couple bookshelves and we're on our way out, and there's this old man talking, an older man, in case he's watching, an older man, could have been the same age as me because I'm old, talking to another older man. That older man was the Walmart greeter. So walking out, I went ahead and grabbed the receipt because when you buy a big item, they're always going to check that. And here's the other thing. They're always going to check if you only have 2 or 3 items because it looks like they're doing their job and they don't have to go through the whole bag. So I'm going out and the guy stops me and I just hand it to him. And this other guy said, I guess you lost a bet. And so my first thought is this a listener? So I hesitated for a minute.
Wait, where is this?
At Walmart.
No, but like here or?
Here.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was in Simpsonville, actually.
Okay. So
I hesitated before I said anything to the guy after he said it because he's smiling. And my first thought is this is a listener. Then I couldn't tell because I didn't know demographic-wise, he's more of probably a word listener. But it doesn't mean – so then my next thing I said was, yeah, if she was pushing the cart, he wouldn't have checked it. And then I just walked on out. And that guy was dying laughing.
Hey. We don't give Walmart receipt checkers a hard time around here, okay? We leave them alone because that would be mean to old people if we did that.
Yeah, but that's my age. So, I mean, I'm talking to my peers. it is a hard thing to figure out when someone talks to you in public, trying to realize if they know who you are or if they're just being a smart aleck or if they're just trying to be funny or friendly. So there's hesitation, and then there's also, I don't know, it's about probably shouldn't have said about the other guy, but that's how I don't think women get their receipts checked as often as guys do, which is fine. And Lisa was like, "Why'd you hesitate at first?" I'm like, "Because I couldn't tell if the guy's a listener, if he was being mean, saying that that you made me push the cart. I mean, you know." And I kept trying to get her to push the cart, and she didn't want to. So
I had another receipt checker story while you were gone. I went in and got 10 lean cuisine meals because that's what I eat for lunch. I just have a lean cuisine. Microwave it. I'm good to go. It's 200 calories. 10 of them. And 1 bottle of Guy Fieri Chipotle aioli sauce, because that stuff is delicious. Shout out Guy Fieri, legend. 1 bag had 5 lean cuisines in a bottle of sauce. The other bag had lean cuisines. Now, the lean cuisine boxes, they're boxy. You can see in the bag, it's just the boxes. I walked over, and the lady's like, "Can I see your receipt?" And I was like, "I've self-checked out these things. I was in the 15 or less line. I already paid for them. They're already mine. I have to go." She's like, "Can I see your receipt?" And I, as aggressively as I'm capable of, handed her the receipt, didn't say a word, and when she handed it back, I didn't say thank you or have a nice day. I just walked away.
Wow.
And I felt guilty about it for like 30 minutes.
Wow.
I felt so guilty. But I was like, "You know me. You have checked my receipt 50 times. I have never stolen from you."
Well, I was rolling up with the 2 things, and I just knew, like I said, I believe, I understand if I did the job, that's what I would do. 2 items, hey, I just checked something.
Yeah.
Rather than having to go through, but yeah.
John Blau with the Post and Courier coming up in the next segment of the show. We'll check in with John and see what's going on over there in the world of Clemson. Talk a little bit about what happened in baseball and how Eric Bakich is going to get the boys back. We've had some roster movement around in the basketball and baseball worlds. We'll check in on that and see what's up in the footy world with about a month to go until ACC football kickoff, a.k.a. Media Days up in Charlotte, North Carolina. But let's get to some audio here on the show. I will start with Sam Bennett, the MVP of the NHL's Stanley Cup. Why? Because even if he's not right now, in about 30 seconds, Lonzo's going to be a big Sam Bennett guy.
You know, a lot of people they don't like the way we play. They don't like... They call us dirty. They call us nasty. They call us bullies. So no, I would like to take this time to apologize to absolutely no one. We're the double champs. We do what the we want. Let's go.
Dropped the Conor McGregor on everybody.
So the lead-in was perfect. I mean...
he set it up.
Yeah, he
put himself on a tee.
He did. I mean, the lead-in was perfect. It was very, very low-key. And then as soon as he hit that first little bit, it's like, oh, is he going? Oh, he is. Mm-hmm. And then he went full on. Way to go, dude.
Was waiting for it, and he dropped it on everybody's head. Listen, I've been doing it. I've been saying it. They play bully ball. They play Marchand ball. You know what else I said about the Florida Panthers after they won the NHL Stanley Cup championship? They are the best team in professional sports right now. And I'm not just talking about the guys that are on the ice in any given moment. I'm talking about the best franchise in American sports. They are the franchise that is setting the standard right now. They are the franchise that your favorite franchise should be striving to be. They have created their brand, their culture. They have worked to find guys that fit into it, like Brad Marchand. They have worked to develop guys within their system to play like it. And they have crafted a team that no one can touch right now. Whoever your favorite team is, they should strive to be the Florida Panthers. I have made my opinion on my least favorite late night activity known. Karaoke. I despise karaoke. I hate karaoke. I've said before, there are 3 groups of karaoke people. There are karaoke people who are bad and they know they're bad. Those are the only fun people to be around when you do karaoke. Then there are people who are bad but think they're good. Those people are the second worst group of people to be around at karaoke because they subject you to the torture, but they don't have the self-awareness of recognizing that you're not good at this, to like embrace it and have fun. If you go out there and you're terrible, but like you embrace it and have fun, get the crowd into it, like, okay, I can tolerate that. It's when people go up there and they're bad at it, but they think they're, that's the second worst. You know who the worst people at karaoke are? The people who are good at it and know that they're good at it. Because what do? They pick an 8-minute long song and they go put on a performance. They think karaoke is their concert. This is my time to give America what America deserves. Those people are the people who make karaoke insufferable. However, I have found another exception to karaoke. When the LA Rams go do it. That, ladies and gentlemen, was the entire roster of the Los Angeles Rams who, after their minicamp came to a conclusion, they all went out and had a night out together. And where they go? They went to the karaoke bar where a huge group of huge men were listening to a young lady sing Natasha Bedingfield on stage, a song called Unwritten. Well, by the way, just a feel-good anthem. Heard this young lady singing. She was not very good. She knew she wasn't good. She was just having some fun up there. And the entire roster of the Los Angeles Rams said, hey, lady, we got you, and broke out into the chorus of Natasha Bedingfield as if their lives depended on it. I'm going to take it back and create an exception. Karaoke is fun if you got a bunch of drunk dudes who are willing to belt Natasha Bedingfield as if they are on stage at Red Rocks. Feel the breath on your skin. Oh, it's rain on your skin and then breath on your lips. You get the point. That song's awesome. She's awesome. Karaoke sucks unless you're with a bunch of dudes who are like Natasha Bedingfield. I'm all in, guy.
All right, so it was good till the end. They didn't finish well. I mean, they didn't sing the last line.
That usually happens when you have enough beer in your system.
They didn't sing the last line well. I'll take your word for it.
You can. I'm an expert. That's my exception. That's my exception. Because nobody in the Rams roster right there was like, let me find the harmonies. Let me hit the right pitch. They were just like, yo, it is 2 a.m. I am 9 Jack and Cokes deep, and Natasha Bedingfield is on stage right now. LFG. Feel the rain on your skin. Incredible. Bravo. I'm kind of mildly rooting for the Rams now.
All right. I've never been to a karaoke bar, so I've seen them on TV. And the only place I've ever seen karaoke happen was a Mexican restaurant in Lawrence, where a Spanish-speaking individual was trying to sing American songs while we were eating, and it was one of the funniest things that I've ever. I mean, it was hard to every time you take a bite, he would hit. It was country songs too, which made it even more funny. He was trying to sing George Jones, and it was. This happened like 20 years ago, and I still remember it.
There can be times when karaoke's fun. Again, if somebody gets up there and they're bad and they know they're bad and they use the bad to get crowd participation with them, then it can be fun. It's when people are bad and they think they're good, or when people are good and they know they're good. That's when it gets run. And unfortunately, those two groups way outnumber the people who write. There should be, at every karaoke bar, there should be a system. When somebody goes up there to sing, there should be a red button on every table. And if somebody gets up there to sing and enough tables push the red button, that person's banned. You can't do the karaoke anymore. You can sit and watch, but you can't sing.
All right.
That would make karaoke better.
You've heard me do karaoke before on the Upstate Pulse annual Christmas karaoke special, which we know we're bad. We're doing that on purpose, and we're doing other voices. I am curious, who's a better karaoke singer, Cole or Diesel?
I'm going to go Cole, but he's got the built-in advantage of like having that kind of country thing going. So if it's a country-themed karaoke, like if we're not picking the songs for them, I think Cole. But if we're picking the songs for them, if we're not picking the songs for them, it's freeform, I think Diesel.
Diesel destroys Cole any day in karaoke. Diesel is a music guy. He's been a DJ on the planet forever.
You understand that I play pickup ball. It doesn't mean I can beat the, Tyrese Haliburton.
Doesn't matter. There's no way Cole could outsing Diesel. No way.
All right, stay tuned. The Fan Upstate Karaoke Night Out is up soon.
I can't believe you're going with Cole on this.
If he gets to pick his song. If he gets to pick Luke Bryan, I think he's going to nail it. But if I go, Cole, get up there and give me some Freddie Mercury, I think he's cooked.
You throw a random song out there, Diesel's going to be able to do it.
That's what I just said.
Yeah.
If they get to pick their songs, 100% Cole is smoking Diesel because he's going to go with like mid-range country voice.
Not only that, but I think performance is also a part of karaoke, and Diesel would
I agree with that
kill
too.
it
But
because he has no shame. He will get up there and do what needs to be done to win the contest.
Speaking of no shame, Andres Cantor, he has shame. I don't. Andres Cantor, legendary. He is the one, Zoe, who popularized in soccer, Well,
yeah, it was so loud.
I pushed it too far. It
was so loud that I kept pushing my mic on and off, and it picked it up, and it was like auto-tune. It was amazing.
If I would have cut that goal 2 seconds before, it'd have been the greatest goal ever dropped on the radio station, but I pushed my limits too far. I felt it. I wanted to be a champion. I tried to push just past my limits, and unfortunately, in pushing the envelope, I crumpled it and lit it on fire. That's my bad. But it was real good up until it wasn't. Anyway, that's Andres Cantor. He was calling last Thursday night. Miami won the first and I believe so far only MLS victory in the FIFA Club World Cup. And Andres Cantor was on the call.
It's Messi time. Messi!
Okay.
All right, the drumming, was that him drumming?
No, that's the stadium. Okay. Soccer games are lit. They have their own drum
why
sections.
did he stop and then the drum stop? Did you just stop?
No, he was covering up the drums with go, but then he backed out of it, and now the stadium ambiance came back. The point here of all that was not to play that clip. It's to open up a debate. I only have room for one call. So, are we going with
Messi?
Or are we going with
Messi?
Because when we have a
Messi?
situation that we want to call,
Messi?
You got to go.
I can only keep. Do we go with the OG or do we go with the new school?
You go with the classic.
Go with the OG?
Messi?
Yeah. Because his heart's in that. He's losing his voice while he's doing it. The other one's a little more contrived, and he took a breath before he did it. The first one, I mean, the OG is just, it's so much better.
I'm just saying that Andres.
Messi?
It's not the Messi then the goal. It's the Messi. that gets me. You know what? I got room for both.
Messi!
Fantastic. I heard that, and I'm like, oh, I don't know which one I got to keep. I'm keeping both. I'm just keeping both. All right.
There ain't nobody telling you that you can't keep both.
Last two clips, and then we got to go because we got John Blau coming up in the next segment. This is more interesting than I think anything else. This is why I tell people, don't make fun of people until you know what's going on. Tyrese Haliburton, who I hate doing this the day after what happened to Tyrese, but I'm also doing this to defend Tyrese and to tell y'all to chill the hell out. Tyrese Haliburton, the last couple of weeks, there has been more discussion about the fact that his voice changes. Have you heard this? He's got two different tones of voice. I'm going to play you two clips real quick to let you hear what I'm talking about.
Post basketball is not appealing unless it's Jokic or Joel or Shaq.
Same guy. Here's another.
I would probably bet you 30 out of 30 teams are active right now. Yeah, especially right now because free agency starts, what is that, July 1st?
Okay. So there's been a lot of talk about Tyrese's voice changing, like in the same sentence.
I mean, you could hear it drop down an octave. Someone doctored that.
That is incorrect.
There's no way that's real.
It absolutely is real.
I don't believe it.
Those two clips were from McAfee Show Live. Both of them. I was listening when it happened.
By the way, snafus can happen on audio.
That is actually, hang on, that's actually what his voice does. And
I don't believe it.
Okay, cool. There's a reason for it.
It's an NBA superstar's daily reality, and there's a rare medical condition causing it. Tyrese Haliburton's voice can change abruptly from higher tones to lower tones mid-sentence. Haliburton suffers from a rare neurological disorder known as spasmodic dysphonia, resulting in involuntary muscle spasms in his larynx. In fact, it is so rare you're 3 times more likely to be struck by lightning. And while genetics are likely the key player, experts say vocal fatigue from shouting on the court worsens it. Haliburton's cool with it, saying it just happens.
This is why you don't make fun of people. My man has a neurological disorder that causes his vocal cords to quite literally change shape while he's talking. That's where the voice changes come from. That's why I did not know that. I also never made fun of him because I was like, I don't know, maybe there's something, maybe there's a disorder with the guy. Turns out that's exactly what it is.
Well, next time my mind goes blank in a public situation, I'm going to blame it on that and say I just didn't want anyone to
Fine,
notice.
but you got to tell people what it's called.
Spasmodic
it's an NBA superstar's daily reality, and there's a rare medical condition causing it. Tyrese Haliburton's voice can change abruptly from higher tones to lower tones mid-sentence. Haliburton suffers from a rare neurological disorder known as spasmodic dysphonia.
Okay, say it again.
Spasmodic dysphonia.
Nailed it.
Except I said spasmodic. But, it's all a matter of where you're from. So, and if I was using that as a defense, I wouldn't say anything because, I couldn't, I would write it down.
Ladies and gentlemen, when we come back from the Post and Courier, John Blau. That is next on the Rob Brown and Dr. Reitzel show here on the Fan Upstate. All right, guys, stepping away while we get John Blau lined up. Don't sing karaoke. Be right back. 8:40 on a Monday. That means it is time to welcome into the radio broadcast a young man who covers the Clemson Tigers for the Post and Courier, John Blau. Kind enough to take some time out of his day to talk some Clemson athletics here on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. John, how we feeling, big dog?
I'm good. How are you, Rob?
Doing very well. Can I get your opinion? I know it's un-Clemson related, but because I've been ranting and raving and my blood pressure is high enough that I'm pretty sure my doctor's trying to text me right now, did you get a chance to watch the first inning of Coastal versus LSU yesterday? And did you have any strong reaction to the ejection of Kevin Schnall?
Yeah, obviously, I personally could not hear what Kevin Schnall said, but
sure.
I mean, I know that Angel Campos has a history with Clemson. He's the guy who ejected Cam Cantarella from the Tennessee game a couple years ago. It seems like his fuse is a little short, and it seems a little crazy. Obviously, again, Clemson also has a situation with Eric Bakich last year where he got ejected from a super regional game. You never want to have your head coach ejected, and particularly in a game so big and such a big moment, to eject both the head coach and I think it was the first base coach, right? That's a crazy potentially crazy overreaction. Again, having not heard myself what was said, it still seems like it would have had to have been something really, really strong to go that far.
Yeah, it makes sense to me if like Kevin Schnall ran out there and punched Angel in the face or like maybe shouted what he did with his mom last night or something. Like I would understand that, but it just felt to me like it was short-tempered. And the reason I wanted to ask was because, as you mentioned, Angel Campos is the same umpire that tossed Cam Cantarella, and that was a monumental moment in that regional for Clemson that ended up having a pretty big impact on what happened to, I thought, one of the best baseball teams in America that year. This kind of stuff can't happen moving forward in NCAA baseball, but unlike Major League Baseball, it doesn't feel like there's going to be any activity taken because of it.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I mean, just knowing Angel Campos is a former MLB ump who obviously didn't last in the MLB and now is in college and it's kind of stirring up controversy. Maybe you can have him in your rotation. I don't know about having him in the men's, College World Series or, again, a game like Clemson had a couple years ago where you're in extra innings. It's the hot one. Clemson, like you said, was one of the hottest teams in baseball, and then you eject arguably their best player, before extra innings happen. They lose. They don't have Cam the next day. They lose again out of the postseason, which is, I don't want to say program altering because Eric Bakich has still been able to get them to the regional, but who knows what might have happened in Eric Bakich's first year if that didn't happen with Cam. So, there has to be a conversation for sure about kind of where the line is, kind of what the kind of, situation has to be for an ejection like that. And you just can't have umpires with such a short fuse that are going to drastically alter things. Because going back to the Cam situation, I think he was just running by a Tennessee batter, or runner, I think, may have said something between innings. Like you said, he didn't come up and punch the guy. There wasn't an altercation. I don't know what he could have said that could have justified tossing him in that situation. So it seems to be a pattern with this guy.
John Blau, Post and Courier, covers Clemson athletics. All right, let's flip it over to the Tigers here for just a second. John Blau, I obviously check out the Twitter account daily to see what's going on. And my goodness, are you busy with the recruiting news and notes the last couple of days? Would you mind hitting some of the highlights and maybe in one case a low light of what's going on in Clemson?
Yeah, I mean, they've had a pretty good, stretch recruiting here. Obviously getting Leo Delaney, the 4-star offensive lineman a few weeks ago, got Dre Quinn, the 4-star defensive end. They did, however, miss on Joey O'Brien, the 5-star safety, who was a guy that got in kind of late on. Tom Allen had been recruiting him at Penn State. And, it ends up not going to Penn State or Clemson, ended up going to Notre Dame. But they still got a lot of, opportunity out there. Danny Odom's a cornerback, a 4-star, actually plays with Chancellor Barclay, the offensive lineman 4-star that Clemson already has committed, is going to be announcing today. I've heard people predicting he might go in another direction, so not sure. But obviously Sometimes they can surprise you, so that'll be something to watch. I think that's at 5 p.m. today. And obviously a lot of other big names on the board still, obviously Tyler Atkinson being the major one, the 5-star linebacker. Clemson wasn't even in that recruitment for a long time. Then Tom Allen comes in, Ben Boulware is promoted as the linebackers coach. All of a sudden you're back in that with Georgia, some of these other schools. I think Atkinson just visited Texas. So that's going to be a really difficult one to win, but Clemson at least still has a chance there. And so, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this class completes itself. I mean, right now they're in the top 10. This does seem to have a chance to be a class that finishes in the top 10 for Dabo Swinney, which is a nice statement for this program after kind of taking a little bit of a slip last year with a lot of the NIL madness and but now with the rev share and everything else they got planned, maybe kind of rebounding a little bit in the recruiting department.
Has the rev share thing, and I know obviously every coach in college football is trying to figure out what their course of action is going to be moving forward in every direction with all of the new rules and the College Sports Commission and all that. But has there been any discussion from Dabo, from Tom Allen, from Riley, from any of the coaches out there about how they are navigating that, taking advantage of it? Are they changing the conversation with recruits? Do we have any inside info on what the behavior has been since the House v. NCAA settlement came as to how Clemson maybe is taking advantage of that to create and craft a situation recruits are attracted to?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't had much of a chance to ask Tom Allen or Garrett Riley about that, but Dabo Swinney's talked about it multiple times. Just, the fact that nobody's going to have more money than Clemson is what he said. Because rev share-wise, Clemson plans to split up the revenue by the percentages that it draws into the department. So Clemson football draws in about 82 to 85% of the revenue for Clemson, and so they're going to get that percentage of rev share money, which is of the $18 million, because $2.5 million are set aside for scholarships, but that lands you around $15 million, which not a lot of schools are going to have more than that, if any at all. And so, Dabo has always been of the philosophy, we're not going to lead with NIL, we're not going to lead with that, but at the same time, if we're in the ballpark, if we're competitive, they think they have enough differentiators in terms of what else they sell. Obviously, being able to get players to the NFL, personal development in terms of their Paul Journey program, all of that stuff, it's unique. That as long as they're in the ballpark and they're not getting outstripped by like $1 million on a recruit, because, maybe, again, these booster-funded collectives are going to be less powerful if the Deloitte clearinghouse system actually vets these deals, then Clemson is in a better position. And so I think they feel like, again, with the rev share number they're going to have with Clemson Ventures, which is going to have this, has its own sports marketing firm, Everett Sports Marketing, firm that's worked with Jalen Hurts and the Cavender twins and all that to get them NIL deals. They're going to get them extra millions that way. It seems like Clemson has positioned itself in a better place where they can have more success on the recruiting trail. And it seems to be, that whatever that pitch is, which again doesn't lead with NIL, but definitely features it, seems to be, helping them with some recruits this cycle.
John Blau of the Post and Courier joining us here on the Rob Brown Show when the Fan Upstate does so every Monday at 8:40 a.m. Saw the dismissal of Marquise Henderson from the program last week. John Blau, haven't gotten a chance to check up with you since that news broke. Have we learned anything about that story? And was Marquise Henderson expected to be a player, a playmaker for this team? What does this do for his side of the football, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, there was no specific reason given for why he was dismissed. I mean, you have to assume it was an off-the-field issue. He didn't even really practice much at all during the spring. I mean, he was out with an injury. It was very limited, so it would remain to be seen how much of an impact he really had. Obviously, he was an athlete, a guy who could maybe play running back, maybe receiver, maybe he ends up on the defensive side of the ball eventually, but it was just a guy with such burst and athleticism. They were interested in bringing him in, but there had to have been some kind of issue off the field that kind of led to this. Obviously, Dabo has had issues with players in the past off the field. It takes a lot to get him to the point where he dismisses a player. I mean, I go back to like 3 years ago, Fred Davis and Malcolm Green getting in a car accident, seriously injuring a USPS driver. Those guys were not dismissed from the team. They remained on. He does really stick with guys for the long haul, unless there's something that gets to a point where he doesn't feel like he can work with you, the message isn't getting across, all of that. And so it had to be something of that variety. Obviously, again, we haven't been told exactly what it was, but it just hit a breaking point where eventually he got dismissed and he's going to have to go somewhere else to play football.
Got another couple of minutes here with John Blau of the Post and Courier. All right, there's a lot more I want to get to, but as I was scrolling the Twitter account yesterday, I came across one for something you written that I found very interesting. And I'm going to read the quote to you, John Blau, and then I'm just going to step away because as a fan of what's being said here, I just want to hear what led this tweet to be developed. And I quote, Clemson defensive coordinator Tom Allen likes to say you're a product of the friends you have, the books you read, and the music you listen to. And his linebackers coach is going with break stuff by Limp Bizkit. John Blau was a child of the 90s and early 2000s, and therefore I am not ashamed to say a big fan of OG Limp Bizkit. What? Talk to me, man.
Well, so, yeah, I mean, Ben Boulware tweeted this out, that this is kind of the motto. I'm guessing he means the motto for the season. It even had a picture of him standing next to Tom Allen, obviously his new boss, and yeah, break stuff from Limp Bizkit. I guess the idea is that the Clemson defense is going to break stuff from opposing offenses. And, yeah, it was an interesting choice because, again, Tom Allen is a very clean-cut man, a man of faith. I don't think I've ever heard him curse. I don't think he does. They kind of, have a picture of him and Ben Boulware together and Limp Bizkit break stuff in there. And I think they did. I think it was a clean version of the song because I don't think it said break your effing face tonight. It said something else. But yeah, no, they're definitely going for a very aggressive song choice and motto for the season.
John, do you want to wrap this up by giving me your best Fred Durst growl at the end of that song?
No thanks.
Yeah, I didn't think so. Worth a shot. John Blau from the Post and Courier. You can find him on X at JohnJON_Blau, BLAU. And you can find him right here on the Rob Brown Show every Monday at 8:40. John, my man, great stuff as always. Appreciate you, big dog.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Rob.
You got it. John Blau from the Post and Courier. And if my day keeps going this way, I just might break your face tonight. Give me something to break. Give me some. Okay. It's Limp Bizkit, buddy. I don't know what to tell you. There's a Rob Brown Spotify hype list, and that song's absolutely on it. I read that, and I'm like, Ben Boulware, the Clemson Tigers are winning every game by 50 this year.
Can't wait for that Braun Breaker theme by Fred Durst. It's going to be amazing.
How about your face? Oh, man. All right, I'm going to go out and run 3 to 4 miles during this break while Lonzo does a sports flash. Yeah! So come and get it.
With a 103-91 win over Indiana, the Oklahoma City Thunder claimed the 2025-26 NBA World Championship. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander scored 29 in the win and claimed the Finals MVP, becoming just the fourth ever player to win the scoring title, regular season MVP, and Finals MVP in one season. The LSU Tigers won the College World Series Baseball Championship with a 5-3 victory, securing a 2-game sweep of the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers, who had won 26 consecutive games entering the finals. Coastal Carolina head coach Kevin Schnall was ejected in the first inning in a controversial decision for arguing balls and strikes and leaving the dugout. 15-time NBA All-Star Kevin Durant has been traded from Phoenix to Houston in return for Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, the number 10 pick in this year's draft, and 5 second-round picks. 37-year-old averaged 26.6 points, 6 boards, and 4.2 assists last year.
about the he said, she said bull? I think you better quit talking that, son. So come and get it.
When you're doing the guitar part, though, it sounds like killing in the name of what you're doing. So I don't know if I know the song that you're talking about or not. Probably do. Maybe. I don't know.
I hope you know a pack of chainsaw.
Did you say Pappy Chainsaw?
Pack of chainsaw.
Oh, I thought you said Pappy Chainsaw. That was weird.
That's his wrestling name. And if my day keeps going this way, I just might break your face tonight. Give me something to break.
Why is he so angry?
We were all angry in the early 2000s.
Okay, why?
Because we were young, and young people were
angry. Okay. I guess I was probably angry. I don't remember.
I had no reason to be angry, and I was.
It was a long time ago, so I don't know.
I have 7 different games of Baldur's Gate going right now, and I've not made it out of the Grove in any of them because I keep starting new games. I've started 4 games.
I've seen some memes about that, about how many times.
Yeah.
Dude, you're missing so much if you don't.
I know. No, is the problem is I have my main game, which I've started, and I've gotten a little bit further in that one. I'm like almost at the temple where the first druid dude you have to go find him is. I have him. He's Andre. Then I started a rogue swashbuckler because I wanted to be a pirate. Then I have one game with a buddy of mine who can only play like once a week. Then I have another game with 2 buddies of mine. But because it's hard to get 3 people on stage, I also have a 2-player game with each of them going separately where we just are trying out different characters. I have my secondary single-player game where I have a druid named John Trina.
Good choice.
Yeah. I have 3 solo games with 3 very different characters going, a good, a neutral, and an evil. I have...
And here, I've beaten that game so many times on computer and on console.
I've made it out of the intro, basically.
Yeah,
but I have 7 of them going.
Cameron's playing with a couple of his buddies right now on Tactical, and he's telling me how hard it is to do that. But.
So one of the guys I'm playing with, the guy that only plays like once a week, we decided to play Tactical to be real smart about it, and we made it to, like, the first battle at the first temple, and like 5 minutes in, I'm like, dude, screw this. I'm done. I don't have the patience.
Best promo of all time, James.
Way up there. Way up there. It's just one of those days. I hope this is clean for your sake, buddy. Okay, it is. You're good. You don't really know why, but you want to justify for ripping someone's head off. No human contact. But if you interact, your life is on contract. Your best bet is to stay away, mother. It's just one of those days. It's all about the he said, she said. It's a good thing I can censor myself. I think you better quit talking that or leave. Oh man, I was doing so good.
He said talking that slip.
Yeah, that's not what
I'm
he
playing
says.
the squeaky clean version.
Quit.
It's labeled on this squeaky clean version.
First one to complain leaves with the blood stain. Cause I'm messing up your program. He doesn't say messing either. Next in line to get messed up is to stay away, you son of a gun. It's just one of those days. If you can hear this, okay, if you're of my age and you hear this song, yeah, I'm playing middle linebacker. Like I'm just, it doesn't matter if I'm the punter. If you play Limp Bizkit's break stuff, coach, throw me in at middle linebacker, and I promise you that quarterback's got one more play on this field. He's got one more play, and that man's leaving in the back of a vehicle with ambulance lights on the top of it.
I don't think I've ever heard the song. So, and I've heard some Limp Bizkit songs, but I don't think I've ever heard that song. So,
I grew up in the early 2000s, and I was very fortunate to grow up in a two-parent household with two parents who were very close, loved each other, loved their kids very much. I grew up on a golf course.
I was in my 20s, dude, so this should have been the kind of music I was listening to.
It should have been,
Yeah,
especially when you grew up in a school where teachers hucked desk at students.
Well, that soundtrack would have worked. That song would have worked perfect in that class, trust me.
I was very fortunate to grow up in a upper middle class, two-parent, loving family. We lived on a golf course. We had a boat. My life was amazing, and yet every word of that song. Every word of that song. I screamed it when that album dropped. And when I saw not terribly long ago that I was real mad at Diesel a few weeks ago because he went over to Atlanta because Limp Bizkit was playing a show, but it was on like a Thursday night, and I was out of vacation days because I pretty much got him scripted for the rest of the year. I was this close to pulling a somebody else and using a fake sick day. I was this close to using I have them, so I'm going to use them sick day because Diesel texted me. And also, in fairness, he texted me at like 4 p.m. for like an 8 p.m. show in Atlanta on a Thursday night. He's like, hey, you want to go see Limp Bizkit with me? And I'm like, do I want to? More than anything else right now. But I have to work in like 9 hours, dude.
So you're saying Rob Brown, was responsible and decided to not do that.
Keep it a buck. I am responsible way more than I talk about on the air because responsibility doesn't make for fun stories. Nobody's ever been like, guys, let me tell you what happened last night. So here I am. I'm sitting at home. I'm watching the NBA game, right? And at 8:15, I went to bed and slept for the proper amount of times. There's no entertainment value there. Entertainment is, I did this dumb thing, it was irresponsible, and here are the consequences of the action that I am now experiencing. That's entertainment. Nobody's ever been like, ha-ha, at a story that involves, I didn't go out, I was in my jammies at 7 p.m., I had some hot tea, and I went nighty-night at a proper time. There's no entertainment value there.
Like chamomile or,
I don't know. I don't drink tea.
Yeah, me either.
I'm going to keep it a buck. I'm in the Ted Lasso camp of tea is garbage water and no one should drink it. And we won the Revolutionary War because the British drank tea.
Yeah, I get that. Even sweet tea.
No, sweet tea is not tea. Sweet tea is sweet tea. There's a difference.
It's still tea, dude.
No,
it's still made with tea bags and
You know what sweet tea does? It takes the bad tea. It takes the bad out of tea. That is why we don't say tea and then sweet tea. We say sweet tea or unsweet tea so that you're getting the good tea or the bad tea.
Or half and half if you're, if you're diabetic.
That is still dramatically better than regular tea.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Tea,
and for the record,
plain tea is not a good taste.
Much like coffee, miss me with the you haven't tried blank yet. No, I have chamomile, Earl Grey, the other ones. I've tried them. They're just bad. They're just all bad.
So was this segment worth the air check?
I don't know. We're gonna find out. We're gonna find out. You know what? There is a story I did want to get here.
How dare we have fun?
Now that you have,
it's my fault. I'm back from vacation.
Yep.
And I remember when we used to have fun, and so I was trying to have fun.
Just ruining everything.
Just saying that.
Ruining everything. No, we do have to get to this story. This is one of the stories that I did want to get to. Now, this story is from last Friday, but it got broken after we got off the air. So this is my first chance to talk about it. Shut up. We're doing it. The University of Wisconsin on Friday filed a lawsuit against the University of Miami, claiming that Miami broke the law by tampering with a Badgers player. It is a first-of-its-kind legal attempt to enforce the terms of a financial contract between a football player and his school. The lawsuit refers to the athlete in question as Student-Athlete A. But we all know it is Xavier Lucas, the defensive back who transferred from Wisconsin to Miami back in January. He did so and made the claim that the Badgers football staff and athletic department refused to enter his name into the transfer portal, said that he wanted to transfer, he requested a transfer, but the Badgers would not allow him to transfer. They kept his name out of the portal. So basically, he said, I don't want to be here, so I'm not going to be here. And he just up and left. In the complaint filed on Friday, Wisconsin claims that a Miami staff member and a prominent alumnus met with Lucas and his family at a relative's home in Florida and offered him money to transfer shortly after Lucas signed a 2-year contract with the Badgers in December. The lawsuit states that Miami committed tortuous interference by knowingly compelling a player to break the terms of his deal with Wisconsin. Wisconsin said in a statement, quote, while we reluctantly bring this case, we stand by our position that respecting and enforcing contractual obligations is essential to maintaining a level playing field. According to the complaint, Wisconsin decided to file the suit in hopes that, quote, during this watershed time for college athletics, this case will advance the overall integrity of the game by holding programs legally accountable when they wrongfully interfere with contractual commitments. And to that, I say, Wisconsin, good job. Good job. Seriously, good job.
Torturous
interference.
Interference.
Yes.
Wow.
That is a legal term for interference, which is
torturous.
That's the one. You know why I say for a lawsuit, well done, Wisconsin? What's my take been over the past couple of weeks? You weren't here last week, Zoe. I don't know if you heard about the story about the interview in The Athletic that Lenora Sellers' father did. Lenora Sellers' father, Norris Sellers, told The Athletic about a week and a couple of days ago that during the offseason, Lenora Sellers, the quarterback for the South Carolina Gamecocks, a Heisman Trophy finalist contender, was offered $8 million to transfer away from Columbia, South Carolina, and go play his football somewhere else. Now, I am, and let me say this very plainly, speculating that it was the University of Miami who made the offer. Why? Because the offer, according to Lenora Sellers' father, was allegedly 2 years, $8 million. You're going to come here, you're going to play college football for 2 seasons, we're going to give you $8 million. You will remember that former Georgia quarterback Carson Beck transferred to the University of Miami. The NIL deal he signed there, 1 year, $4 million. Now, I'm bad at math, but if they offered you 1 year for $4 million, if you double that, it would be 2 years for $8 million, the exact offer, according to Norris Sellers, that Lenora Sellers was offered to go play his ball. Now, he had no responsibility to name the school that offered Lenora Sellers $8 million, but I have said a few times, if you're not going to tell us who made the offer, if you're not going to tell us who tampered, save your breath, okay? If you're not going to tell us, and I don't care if you are Lenoris's father, and again, I don't blame him. He has no reason to start the drama. He has no reason to start any drama with anybody. Now, he kind of did by doing the interview in the first place, but he doesn't need to bring the ire, because if the new College Sports Commission was to bring the band hammer down on a school and say, hey, no postseason for you for 5, 6, 7, 10, 25 years, obviously that school's fan base would hate him and hate his child. So I get it. But when Shane Beamer says it, or when Dabo Swinney says it, or when Ryan Day says it, or Kirby Smart says it, or any college coach, athletic director, or anyone else says it, name the names or STFU, dog. Name the names or shut. Because if you're not going to name the names, this is irrelevant information. We can do nothing with it. The reason that I applaud Wisconsin is because instead of just coming out and saying, now, in fairness, they were kind of obligated to, because Xavier Lucas transferred, and we know where he transferred, and we know how much money he's making after the transfer. So this was getting out anyway. But Wisconsin didn't just say, oh, we're going to name names. They said, we're dropping a lawsuit on your asses. We're bringing the hammer down. We're taking you to court. Will it make it to court? I don't know. Will Miami settle it? I don't know. Will the details of what actually happened ever come to light and be truthful? I don't know. Here's what I do know. Wisconsin just did what I've been begging everybody else to do for friggin' years now. Either name the name so that there are consequences or just shut up. Because complaining about the law being broken, but not saying who broke the law when you know who broke the law, what am I supposed to do with that? What can I do with that? Answer, not a damn thing, dude. I can do nothing with that. I've said it about Shane. I've said it about Dabo. I've said it about Matt Rule in Nebraska because he's done it before. If you're not going to name the name, then you are wasting your breath and my time. Wisconsin said, yeah, we're going to name the name. Again, the name was already going to be named because Xavier Lucas signed to go play at the University of Miami, so we know exactly who it is. But they didn't just drop the name, they dropped the lawsuit. Now, will this lawsuit win? I don't know. There's a lot of question marks here. There's a lot of question marks about what the contract he signed with Wisconsin actually says, how it can be interpreted, what it infers, how it can be enforced. Can it be enforced? There are a million questions that all surround the concept of NIL. Effectively, what Wisconsin is saying, not in the lawsuit, but what they were saying pre the lawsuit was, you signed an NIL contract with us. That NIL contract was for an X amount of time. And therefore, we, as we sign the contract with you, we own your name, image, and likeness. You can go play somewhere else. But you cannot utilize your name, image, and likeness to profit because you signed the contract that says we're going to do that for you. So you can't do it. Is that going to hold up in a court? I got no idea. Could depend on what state. Could depend on, does it stay at a state? Does it go to a federal, which I assume it will because it's two different states that are involved. Does it get in front of a judge who is sympathetic to the students? Does it get in front of a judge who is sympathetic to the institutions? There's a gazillion variables in this equation that none of us can know. But what I do know is it's the first one. And the first one sets precedent. And on top of it being the first one that sets precedent, it is also the first one that names a school. It is also the first one that names individuals at the school, right? I'm intrigued to find out who this high-level alumnus is because remember, we had old, what's his name from a couple of years ago? Dadgummit. Not Navarro. Dadgummit. What was the guy's name? You all know who I'm talking about because he was like the biggest name in this whole conversation for like a while there. Anyway, the guy got famous. He's got his own podcast now because of all this.
Nevin Shapiro?
That's the one. Thank you.
Okay.
God, my brain was scrambled right now. Nevin Shapiro. He was the one a couple of years ago, and I do think Nevin Shapiro had a big hand in where we are in the NIL world now because of the bags he was handed out at Miami that ultimately it came out that he was handed out the bags. Now, there are other names at Miami like John Ruiz, who I think he could maybe be the alumni in this lawsuit as well. But the point is, in this lawsuit, even though they are not named in the initial complaint that has been made to the public, names are names. Schools are named. Names at the school are named. Names connected to the schools are named. This is what I've been asking to happen for like 4 years now. I have been telling coaches and ADs and fans and boosters and yada, yada, yada. If you're not going to tell us who did the thing, then don't waste your breath telling us that the thing got done. It helps no one. Nothing can be done about it. Nothing can be changed because of it. No one can be punished or disciplined as a result of it. You are therefore wasting your time, my time, and everybody else's time. But here come the Badgers. They said, we don't care. We'll say exactly what it was. Here's a lawsuit. We're going to get this figured out. And somebody going to have to pay. Now, again, I don't know if it's going to win. Do I think they have a good lawsuit? I don't know. I first and foremost, and I will be doing research to see if it is public today. I do not think that it is. I would love to read the NIL contract that Xavier Lucas signed. I'd love to read the contract Xavier Lucas signed. I'd love to see what he agreed to because I have been saying at this point, almost catchphrase for a while. That catchphrase has been, With adult opportunity comes adult consequences. If you as a college football player would like the opportunity to sign contracts allowing you to profit off of your name, image, and likeness, there are also adult consequences that come with that opportunity. Adult responsibilities that, if not met, result in adult consequences. You are going to be obligated to follow the business rules of the state, of the city, of the contract you signed, yada, yada, yada. In some states, maybe not all of them, we'll find out, you are going to be obligated to pay taxes on that money. And you better get them right, because the IRS ain't no joke. And you are going to be obligated to live up to the terms of the contract that you signed. If it turns out that Xavier Lucas did indeed break the terms of the contract that he signed with the University of Wisconsin, then here come those adult consequences. But if it turns out that maybe Wisconsin got him to sign something that wasn't legal or wasn't enforceable or whatever, the consequences are on Wisconsin. This is going to be a weird sentence. Been a long time since I've been fired up for a lawsuit. But here we are. We'll see. We'll track this for you as it develops. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
QC.
All right, guys, quick live read coming right back. Stay right there for me, please, and thank you. Brown Show back on your radio. It is the fan of state, Rob Brown, the great one, Lonzo, and you. I want to have this discussion very quickly because it is a discussion that I had a full 180-degree swing on. Ladies and gentlemen, pet peeve. You do not make a 360-degree turn on an opinion. That just means you have the same opinion. You just spun in a circle. You make a 180-degree turn if you are now of a different mindset. I am. I want to play you a clip from a few days ago from Bomani Jones on his podcast. Because Bomani had a take that showed up on my social media on, I think, Friday. And I don't think I played it on Friday. But if I did, I forgot. So whatever, I'm doing it again.
I'll say, quit looking at me for confirmation.
Yeah,
I wasn't here.
I forgot you weren't here. So, these NBA Finals. Great one, sentence or two. Your thoughts overall on the NBA Finals?
I think they've been really good if you're into watching a team sport.
Concurred. I think these NBA Finals were spectacular. However, there was a huge drop-off in the audience. At least for the first few games. We'll find out what Game 7 looked like. I assume it's going to be better. But games 1 through, I think, 5 had an average audience of like 8.9 million. That is down from 3 years ago, like 11.5 plus million. Like 11.7 something million people. Big drop-off. And so a lot of people are asking why. And one of the reasons is because of, and I say this lovingly, because of people like Cole, who were saying this series, or at least he said Game 7 was one of the most boring finals games he's ever watched. I couldn't disagree more, even without Tyrese Haliburton out there. It was a good game until the Thunder just had more gas in the tank and had their primary superstar, and Indiana did not. I think one of the big problems is the fact that we, and by we I mean y'all, not me, have been trained to believe that the NBA is a star-centric league, and if there is not him out there, whoever him might be, LeBron James, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, James Harden, whoever, Nikola Jokic, if there's not him out there, and specifically if there's not a pair of hims going at it. How do I know this? Because the lead up to Pacers Thunder, every promo was Shai Gilgeous-Alexander versus Tyrese Haliburton. Okay. And it's like, if you think Tyrese is a guy who single-handedly carries his team, you don't know ball, brother.
I have Cole's exact
Please
tweet.
Read it.
Maybe the ending will be epic, but this may be the most boring NBA Finals Game 7 ever. Okay, at least since the 70s. He should have left that part off.
I don't think it helps him or hurts him to have it there.
He's not even 30 yet, I don't think. So how would he know about the 70s? I'm kind of offended about that.
In fairness, we all have YouTube. You can go back and watch them. I'm not saying he did.
He could be a great studier of film. I know he's very busy, so I don't know when he has the time.
No, he's not alone. He's not alone. Dewey just texted the show. Shout out. He said, Cole is 100% correct. Game 7 sucked. Very little energy from both teams and announcers. You're 100% wrong. First off, if Mike Breen, bang, doesn't give you energy, I don't know what will. Well, not a lot of bangs last night, though. Very little banging going on.
If Mike Breen had his whole old crew together, it would have been better.
That is also true. I will say, if you want to bust on the announcers, I don't have an issue with Doris Burke. But Doris is there to talk about the game, not bring the energy. Richard is fine, but he doesn't really. If you're going to have an ex-player on there, I expect the ex-player to give me insight to the game that only an ex-player can give me. And Richard Jefferson does it. He's just a color guy, which is fine. But if you're going to be a color guy who's a former player, tell me about the game from the perspective of somebody who's been there and done that. And he doesn't really do that. But whatever, put that aside. I don't think there is very little energy. I think you guys have been brainwashed to believe that a high-energy game means somebody's out there getting 50. And that's not true. That's not true. This is the reason I've been pimping Tyrese Haliburton as a reason to watch the NBA the entire season. Because Tyrese is a guy who's going to end with a stat line of 20 points, but he's going to have 14, 15 assists. He's getting you 28, 30 points worth of value by being a point guard. And I appreciate that. You saw how different that game was last night without him doing that. Because even with little bulldog TJ McConnell, who I adore, he can't create and distribute like Tyrese does. So I'm going to disagree, but put that aside for a minute. That's not even the conversation I want to have. The conversation I want to have is about the take that Bomani Jones had.
I have seen people online raise the very fair question, why is there so much discussion about putting the trophy decal on the floor? And I would argue that it's not so much specifically about the trophy decal itself. It is about the fact that the way that the finals have been presented has made the games just feel like games, as opposed to something that is a really big deal. You'll hear people make the point when talking about sports that it's entertainment, and that is not true. Sports is entertaining, but it is far more significant to people than entertainment. Yeah, there's an occasional movie franchise that gets people lining up at night and they talk about it for days or whatever it is. It doesn't mean the same thing to people. It doesn't pass down through families in that way. It doesn't transcend generations in that way. If you treat sports like entertainment, then sports get treated like the rest of entertainment gets treated right now, which is something that is not intended to be excellent, something that is not intended to be momentous, something that is not intended to be monumental, but simply something intended to occupy your time and attention. Play up the pageantry, play up the stuff around it. An audience needs it.
Bomani says the conversation has been, why isn't the big trophy sticker on the court? But it's a bigger conversation. It is the fact that, well, you know what? I heard somebody else talk about this on Saturday. I heard somebody talking about this on a different show. And somebody that I have a lot of respect for, somebody who I think is very, very good at this job, somebody's opinions who I hold in very high regard. And they had this take. I want you to really listen to what this guy's talking about and tell me you think his take is wrong. I forgot to change the thing over. Hold 1 second, please. Man, I really am sad that I did that big build up. Let me try it again. Somebody whose take I really respect, somebody who's good at this job, and on top of all that, I think that they are very handsome. Does ESPN want these NBA finals to fail? Does ESPN want them to be bad? Because they don't feel special. They don't feel like there's anything to them. I've come full circle on. I heard oh gosh, I want to give credit to Bomani Jones on his pod the other day said it should not feel like much, but it does. The fact that they don't have the big trophy logo on the middle of the court like they have for every other NBA finals is kind of indicative of. And here's where, Deck, I'm going to go one step further than I already have and make myself the victim here. You know what it feels like to me? It feels like to me the NBA and ESPN looked and they said there's no New York, there's no Los Angeles, there's no Dallas, there's no Chicago, there's no major market. These are two, I'm going to air quote this so hard I sprain a finger, small market teams that don't have big bandwagons. They don't have big national fan bases, two small market teams. So like, whatever, let's just get it over with. It's not being treated like an NBA finals. It's not being presented like an NBA finals. It's being treated like it's just the best game on a Tuesday night in March, and we got to put something on TV. And that is very disappointing because this would be an opportunity for the NBA to prove a couple of things. Number one, we do want small market teams to be able to succeed. And number two, we will celebrate them when they do. What happens when you do? You grow your market share. You grow your fan base. Bandwagoners start to jump on board. You grow the product at large, but it just feels, Deck, like when I turn into these finals games, with the exception of Mike Breen screaming bang into my ears a few times a night, it just feels like a set of Tuesday night NBA on TNT games that the league is just ready to move over with so we can all start talking about Kevin Durant again. First off, if I may, great take. Great take from somebody that very clearly knows ball. Dewey texted while it was playing and said, felt like a regular season game. Dewey, we are merged once again. We are back together as one, unified, because that's not incorrect. Now, I would differ and say the basketball was good. The presentation is what made it feel that way. The presentation is how that made me feel. The presentation of this game felt as if it was, as that very, very sexy young man said in that take right there, It felt like it was just a Tuesday night in March, and that was the best game that was on TV, so they had to roll with it, and that was the effort that they put into it. Now, you also heard that very intelligent guy say in that take, the reason it bothers me is because despite Adam Silver a few weeks ago saying, we're real happy about two small market teams. We're real happy about this. He had another one he said the other day where he said, one thing I admire about the NFL is that if this was Pittsburgh and Green Bay, two small market teams, you guys, the media, would be celebrating it, but you don't do that for us. And the answer is because you don't give us a reason to. You just don't. Most of us who care about this feel like these two teams beat the odds to get here. Had to do something remarkably special to get to the NBA Finals. And then the only thing we got that made it feel like this, like it was a special occasion, was in Game 6 and 7. And only in 6 and 7, they did the pregame starting lineup introductions on TV. That's it. They broke out Kristen Chenoweth to do the national anthem last night. That's it. That's what we got to make it feel special and more than just a couple of NBA games. And as somebody from a small market team's fan base perspective, am I making myself out to be a victim here? Yes, I am making myself out to be a victim here because I am one. Don't tell me it's special. Here's why. Milwaukee Bucks, small market team. They won an NBA Finals a few years ago. Quick. How many playoff series have the Bucks won since they won a championship? Don't think too hard. The answer is 0. 0. It is hard to get here, and it's harder to stay here. And for a small market team that we should be celebrating these moments, I feel like we're being lied to. We're really happy they got here. Are you? Because you treated it like you didn't give a damn. And that's real disappointing for me because you're making my feelings hurt, and I don't like it. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
See, that's funny. This is not the old man show because Diesel's older than Rob. I don't know if you knew that or not. But now you know it's like both have a mix. So Wire to Wire has an old man on it, and Diesel,
and this show has 2.
And this show has 1. It's me. But I'd be willing to bet that the two of us are more kid-like than they've ever been their entire life right now.
Do I have use the restroom time here?
2.5 minutes. I remember when I came here and I was around Cole's age, and everybody was either way older than me or way younger than me. And I was just like right in the middle and just trying to figure out, you don't fit with that, you don't fit with this, that sort of thing. I love Cole, by the way. He's a wonderful young man. I think I forever, like in the car or wherever I am, where I'm like, what's wrong with those old people when they're driving too slow or they're doing something that old people do? Because I may joke around about being old and my body is not moving really well, but that has nothing to do with age. It has to do with other things. Realizing that those old people that you're making fun of are probably the same age as you. I'm never going to act that way, I don't think. Unless my brain completely goes. which I was joking around with my family when they said Raven's going to be here in a minute, and I'm like, who? And that's my daughter's name. Look, Raven's going to be who? Who's Raven? And there was a look on Cameron's face, like he was scared for a moment, that if I end up losing it at some point, how long will it take people to realize that I actually lost it? How long will it take for them to realize he's not joking, he doesn't remember? And I painted myself into that corner, being very good at doing that sort of thing. And that's probably what's going to happen. I'm going to lose my mind completely, and no one's going to notice for at least 2-3 months, probably. We talked about that a couple of weeks ago. It looks really good, Stephen. I'm glad that your son loves the Switch too. 2.8, what was it, million? 2 pallets of Switch 2s were stolen in Oklahoma, and it's worth a lot of money.
It's like $10 million.
It's a lot.
You know what stands out to me the most about last night's NBA Finals? I thought about this a lot last night.
The fact that those guys don't know how to open champagne?
I love that. I also love the fact that J-Dub had his first beer last night, and dude had the face of a dude who was having his first beer last night. Cracked himself open a cold brewski. His first drink, by the way. Cracked himself open his first brewski. What a night to have your first beer, right? Crack open your first brewski to hit the celly on winning an NBA championship. Cracked it open, took a swig, and you could read on the face that he did not know what beer tasted like. It was, and I only know that because of my first beer story. I was probably 16, 17 years old. I was a big shot.
Wait. Come on now.
Oh, you'll enjoy this story.
No. Kids, don't do that.
Oh, no. You'll enjoy this story. I promise.
I mean, don't do, wait till you're 21.
No. Hear
and
me
then
out.
Make an adult decision when you're 21.
Hear me out.
Don't do it now.
Hear me out. 16, 17 years old. We were sitting down. We were having barbecue for dinner one night, and the old man cracked open a beer. And I, being big shot, was ready to crack my first brewski with the old man, right? So I said, Dad, I want a beer. And he's like, all right, but if you drink a beer, if you open one of my beers, you are finishing that beer no matter what. Do you understand? And I was like, yes, sir. I'm good. I got this. I cracked open that beer. I remember it to this day. It was a Miller Lite. I took a swig. I despised it. It was awful. It was the classic story of Pops catch you smoking a cigarette, so he makes you smoke the whole pack in one go, right? It was that. I had to finish that beer, and it was awful, dude. I thought I was going to yak. This is true. I did not drink another beer until I was like 22 years old in college one time. And I was like, I don't know, maybe taste change. Maybe now since then I love beer. But I didn't drink beer for like 4 or 5 years. Even when given opportunities, my first couple of years in college, had no interest in it. So I know that first time you've ever tasted beer, it's a shock to the system because those of us who like beer, we talk about how delicious beer is. So you think beer is going to be delicious. It's an acquired taste for just about everybody. All right. So that was great. But no, I think what's going to stand out to me about this NBA Finals for a very long time is that the more memorable team is the team that didn't win it. I think the more memorable team, the team we will talk about, the team we will remember from this postseason, I think will be the Pacers, not the Thunder. I think we'll remember the Thunder because the Thunder are the 2025-2026 NBA Finals. But I think the story of this postseason was the Cavaliers. A Cavaliers team, the Pacers. I was thinking Cavaliers because they were the 1 seed and they were the team that everybody thought was going to get there, and the Pacers beat them. And then it was all about the New York Knickerbockers, and the Pacers beat them. They were an underdog in every series that they played, and nobody except for the team that won the championship out of the West beat them. And oh, by the way, granted, they didn't need to not have him or for him to go down. The Thunder may very well still have won that game, even if the star was available. But the only team to beat the Pacers, despite the Pacers being the dog in every series they played in this postseason, was the NBA champion Oklahoma City Thunder. And in a Game 7, because the Pacers, you will recall, the Pacers were plus 550 favorites to win this series. Oh, excuse me. The Pacers were plus 550 dogs to win this series. And they took it to a Game 7. This team, the Oklahoma City Thunder, were supposed to beat them in 5 max. The betting odds for the Thunder to win in 5 were like plus 150. That's dumb. And yet, the Pacers took them to 7. And in 7, lost their superstar, their leader, their heart and soul 6 minutes into that game. And it was a game until the fourth quarter. To me, the most memorable... To me, the most memorable thing about this NBA postseason will not be SGA, the MVP, winning both regular season MVP and then going on to be finals MVP, winning the scoring title, only the 4th player in NBA history to do it. Jordan did it 3 or 4 times. Kareem did it once, and I'm blanking on the other one. Who's the other? Oh, Shaq did it once. That's it. That's the whole list. That should be the thing we take away. That SGA just had one of the most memorable postseason runs in NBA history. And that's not what I will remember from this postseason. I will remember Tyrese Haliburton, a guy who came into this postseason being labeled as the most overrated player in the NBA. I will remember Tyrese Haliburton not being a star, not being good enough, having no legacy. He's got no aura. And all he did was keeping his team in games and keep knocking down redonkulous shots to take dubs from teams that were favored over his team, both game by game and series by series. Here's why I am optimistic, despite my raw negativity in that last segment. By the way, Dewey and I back on the same page. He said, I agree the basketball itself was good, especially the first half. The presentation sucked. ESPN has ruined the experience. That's exactly my take, Dewey. Took us a while to get there. Same page. My negativity stems from being a small market team fan. My negativity stems from the fact that when Adam Silver says, we're actually super happy it's 2 small market teams. Deck tried to make the argument to me that, there really is no such thing as a small market team. Yeah, there is.
Yeah,
there is.
I don't think there is anymore. I really don't. Because of the internet, because how things are so accessible, teams or otherwise, the world is a smaller place now, and I think that's just a term that people use it's outdated.
Let me tell you why it matters. I'll tell you why it matters. It matters because bigger markets give you more accessibility to 2 things. Number 1, even with the world being smaller, TV shows get shown. TV is based around what's going to get the most eyeballs. Los Angeles, California has a population of 4 million people. Indianapolis, Indiana has a population of less than 900,000. If you're a television executive and you have to cater to an audience, you're going to cater to the city that has 4 million, not the city that has less than 900,000.
That's the way you're talking about it is every one of those people is going to watch, and they're not. It doesn't matter what percentage. It's still going to be a bigger number. If 10% of people watch, then you're talking 90,000 people versus 300,000. I get what you're saying. No way 10% is watching.
Whatever. The point is, it doesn't matter. The same percentage of a bigger number is always going to be bigger than the same percentage of a smaller number. The number is what matters, right? So even though I have access to every basketball game that's played, you know what? I'm a diehard basketball fan. I'm watching no matter what. You know who's not? Bandwagon fans, people who are sitting on a Tuesday and they're not willing to pay to have the NBA ticket so they can watch every game. They're going to watch whatever's on TV. And if the Lakers are playing over here and the Knicks are over here and the Pacers are over here, who are they putting on TV? The Lakers or the Knicks, because they're getting exponentially more potential eyeballs. But exponentially more potential eyeballs. The powers that be
are East Coast and West Coast bias, and they're just gonna pick those teams because they're from those
Maybe
places.
So. It's irrelevant why they still do it. They still do. And oh, by the way, Dallas is next up. Part of the reason that I have I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I got a toe in the water of the Dallas conspiracy. Why? Because Dallas is the third biggest TV market. So it's unshocking that they're doing everything they can do, if they are, to give Dallas everything they want. Why? Because they're the third biggest, and the market size, not as much as it used to, but it still matters. And so when I watch this, and I see two small market teams competing, to me, we should be celebrating that. I think Adam Silver's lying about it, respectfully. And again, as I've said before, I don't blame him for it. That's his job. His job is whatever's in the best interest of the NBA. And if that means lying, lie. That's capitalism, baby. Lying matters more if it grows the bottom line. That's just almost every company. So, all of that being said, the point of all of that was that it is a good thing that the most memorable team and the most memorable postseason run is that of the Pacers, not the Thunder. Because if you buy into, and this I do buy into, that they looked and they said, okay, Ant-Man doesn't want to be face of the league. LeBron and Steph are closing in on the end of the run. We need a new guy. And SGA is the scoring leader right now, so he's the new guy. Because, again, what of the crop of new guys is the face? Ja Morant took himself out of the running. Zion's clearly never going to be it. Who's the guy? It's Wembanyama. And, would you look at that? Suddenly the Spurs have 2 first-round draft picks this year. It's Wembanyama. It's what's his name? Not Jalen Green, the kid that Houston's rolling with. Oh, by the way, they got Kevin Durant now, and it's SGA. But the fact that Indy is the team that I will remember is good, because that is a proof positive that, because Indy's the one team I think that never tried to build a super team. Oklahoma City did back in the day. Never tried to build a super team. They do it the right way, and they got it to the title run. Now, I hate that Haliburton's out, because it's going to be harder to get back next year, because he's not playing next year, at least not for most of the season. If the eyeballs and the attention are on Indy because of what they did being so special and being memorable, that's great for small market fans like me.
We know you guys missed it. It's back, because I'm back.
Yay!
It's What the X is going on, where I will tell Rob something that's Xing, and he will tell us why.
And the button got pushed on time and everything.
Yeah, well, I'm a broadcast professional. All right, the first thing Xing is Canelo.
As in Alvarez?
Yes.
I don't know is the answer. I'm going to go with,
wow.
I know he's got a fight I think he's got a fight coming up, or did he happen this weekend?
All right.
I've been out of boxing for a minute.
All right, it's coming up. Terrence Crawford has moved up to take him on.
Oh, they moved it.
And it's the fight hasn't happened yet, I
right.
don't think. It's like in a few, it might be September.
Okay, so I didn't, okay.
They had what is it? I want to say face-off. What do they call those?
A weigh-in?
No, it wasn't a weigh-in. They had a face-off.
Okay.
Dana White was there, and Canelo come up and pushed Crawford. But the reason why it's Xing, other than that's a big deal, apparently. By the way, Canelo also said that he's exploring maybe coming to WWE eventually. I don't know about that, but
I'm never against pro fighters coming over and being characters in the show. What I am against is coming over being characters in the show and not being the person they were in that event, right? If Canelo comes over, what's his character? Should be a boxer. Should be a wrestler, but most of his skill set and his moves are boxing based. He should be in there as a boxer. If he comes over and he starts being a grappler, it's like, why do I care about this? I've never seen you do that.
Unless you find out that he also has like an MMA kind of background.
But he doesn't. He's
arts.
One of the best boxers on the face of the planet.
But the real reason why it's Xing, or the reason why I found that it's Xing, is because Max Kellerman is going to be on that broadcast.
You can feel however you want about Max Kellerman, the TV host on ESPN and all that. Max Kellerman is a spectacular broadcaster when it comes to boxing.
Especially boxing, yes.
The dude knows
he's one
gloves.
of the foremost guys as far as talking boxing, and he's going to be back. And he disappeared for a while.
He did.
He is back. All right, the next thing that's Xing is Caruso.
Caruso.
Alex Caruso.
Oh! I'm in my head. Okay, this is
you
really
think
dumb.
Robinson Caruso?
No, dude, I was running through all the Carusos. And
how many more Carusos are there?
I know of like 2.
Do you really?
Yeah. You got the dude who is the dude who is the star of CSI Miami is David Caruso. One of my dearest friends from college.
Hasn't been on in like
I love
20 years or
CSI
something.
Miami. Come at me, dog. I will still watch reruns of CSI Miami to this day. Callie, hot blonde detective. One of my favorite for like first TV crushes was Callie from CSI Miami. I forget her name, but the other chick, the hot Latina lady, Smoke Show. I love and on top of all that, seems like somebody's been checked out. Yeah! One of the greatest running gags in TV is the opening with Caruso's opening one-liner, putting the glasses on, and then the Who scream. Phenomenal. Anyway, Alex Caruso trending because Alex Caruso won his second NBA championship last night and also dropped a bar. You'll remember Caruso was on the team that won it for LA, but it was in the COVID bubble, which a lot of people want to throw an asterisk on and say, oh, that one didn't count because they were in the, which is dumb. Every team in the league was in the bubble, so like whatever. But he jumped on the mic last night, grabbed it, and went, yeah, y'all can't question this one. This one's legit. And I was like, attaboy, way to run that game. Appreciate you. Alex Caruso and TJ McConnell were my dudes from this series.
Caruso is amazing. I mean, he was very aggressive. He was able to hit shots. He was playing good defense. He stood out not just because of his bald head, although that did make him stand out.
Also, I did love the picture. They put up a picture of Dagnall from his first year coaching when Caruso played for him. I think they were in like Memphis or something. And Caruso had the dude, go ahead and shave it thing going.
The old man thing. Yeah.
SVP called him out last night, and he's like, I'm glad he eventually found the razor. It happens to all of us.
All right,
Phenomenal
and
moment.
finally, the last thing that's Xing is Hulk.
Hulk, as in the Incredible?
No.
As in Hogan?
Yes.
Then I don't care.
Yeah, you will. So Fanatics just happened over the weekend. A lot of stars there, and different people from other genres of sports were able to do wrestling the intros.
Brady and Eli's was hilarious.
It
I don't
was.
care what you say.
James Harding came out as Hulk Hogan, full boas, everything. You got to watch it. It's pretty good.
Respect. I respect. All right. That's it for us. Thanks for being here. Hope you enjoyed the show. If you didn't, it's your own problem. That was really good. I'm proud of us. We nailed it. We'll do it again tomorrow. We'll try again. Maybe. Don't get your hopes up. Maybe even be better. Have a great rest of your day. Don't drink and drive. I'll punch you in the face. For Lonzo, I'm Rob. See you back here tomorrow to do it all over again, but better on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Later. That was a good show. We did good today.
So back to guy who wanted to call him Papa Brown. You got to call him Papa Diesel. I mean, because Diesel's older than him, and Papa Diesel sounds better than Papa
Now, what
Brown.
I need you to do
No
is
offense. Papa Brown sounds like a pizza place. Papa Diesel sounds like a rapper. And so Papa Diesel is what you got to do.
And what I need you to do is start calling him that on the show, but don't tell him why. Just start referring to him as Papa Diesel, but don't tell him why we're calling him Papa Diesel. I will start calling him that today. I'm going to do my best to let you keep the John Jones story for Fight Club. But
Dude, it's not necessary. Remember what we got coming up this weekend.
Oh, that's true.
So
We got
you
a
can.
big one.
Yeah, well, we got two PLEs if they happen. There's an NXT PLE. No, isn't is Evolution 2 this weekend?
I don't know.
Or is it might be. I'm pretty sure there's a PLE on Sunday also. I'll have to look it up. But we know that Night of Champions is supposed to happen Saturday afternoon.
Yeah,
here.
it might not.
Yeah, we'll see. I bet they still do it, but do it. No, because then you don't get the money. I don't know. I'm concerned for their safety, but at the same time, I'm really curious about this. Hopefully they do it and it goes on without a hitch and it's a good show.
Well, they have suggested that all Americans in that area leave, so.
Yeah, I know. But the fact that nothing's been said yet makes me think they're going.
Somebody just posted a picture of Rhea Ripley from Fanatics shooting a free throw with the caption, "Oh, it's over for LeBron." All right, dudes, that's going to be it. Saudi Mania might not run wild, brother.
The John Jones story is more about the crash than it is about his retirement.
Correct.
Yeah.
I did see and I guess it's somebody he knows, but there was a clip where there was somebody interviewing him. And I guess this was from a couple of weeks or months ago, but they're like, "John, is it true that you studied criminal defense in college?" And John goes, "Yeah." And the lady looks him in the face and goes, "Well, that's ironic." And I was like, "Good Lord, lady. Holy crap."
That's hilarious.
That's hilarious. And I would not have the stones to say that to that man's face. All right, guys, we're going to jet. Thanks for being here. You're all amazing people. Tell your friends about us. We're trying to get rich and famous and retired very rapidly. We want to do this job for fun, not for money. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Goodbye.